Hey everyone, and welcome back to Everlasting Summer. This is the last of the special routes, and then we're gonna go on to mods after. And then we'll be done with the game completely. Anyway, here we go. Around the next turn, the flashlight beam illuminated a big shadow. I was trembling with fear. I couldn't move even one step further. I was woken from my stupor only by the thought that it could be Shurek. Shurek! No answer. Oh. Well then. Around the corner, the shadow disappeared. I saw a blurry human shape. Someone was sitting on a stone. Or maybe something. I stopped dead. What are you doing here? I heard a lovely voice. Aw man, why would you put me on the spot like this? Lovely voice? Great, thanks, Semyon. You never help me out here, not even a bro. Catching mice. I opened my mouth, but couldn't say anything because I was too busy staring at her booty. Did you see any here? No, but I'm sure there's plenty of them. I mean, it's the mines, and there's nothing here. I shined the flashlight at her face. Either something was wrong with her head or with her biological species. Because of her ears and tail, she didn't really look like a human. I mean, she does look like a human. She's just a human with ears and a tail. And how many have you caught? Not a single one, she answered seriously. She didn't look hostile. Subconsciously, I felt that I shouldn't be afraid of her, but at the same time, I had obviously no idea what to ask her, how to ask her who she is or what she's doing. But on the other hand, normally if you suddenly meet someone in a deserted mine, you'd have a heart attack from shock. And the girl in front of me was definitely not a pioneer from the camp. And you... who are you? You're probably looking for him. For who? That boy. Well... yeah, I answered after a small pause. But still... The girl interrupted me. He has been walking around here for a long time. I tried talking to him, but he didn't hear me. And where is he now? I don't know. Maybe he's still wandering somewhere. It seems she wasn't interested in this conversation at all. And you... how did you... get here? The same way you did. From the surface. Without a flashlight? Why not? She gave me a perplexed look. I completely lost all comprehension. The flashlight flickered. Terrified, I started banging it with my fist. I don't want to be eaten. When the light lit back up, the girl wasn't there. I don't know who or what she is, but it seemed like she could help me find the answers. Too bad she disappeared. It's the strangest thing, but I wasn't afraid of her. I just felt that this girl wouldn't do me any harm. But now, I must find Shurek. I have a feeling that this is not the last time I'll meet this girl. I don't know why, but I'm sure about it. Around one last turn, a door appeared from the darkness. And then that girl from the mine appeared just before my eyes. I saw her so clear it was as if she was really in front of my bed. No, I'm just seeing things. But still, why didn't I get scared back then? I just went and spoke to her normally, just like that. All the answers are here. That cat-eared girl knows something for sure. Maybe I was too exhausted because of the camp, mine, and labyrinth, and my nerves were stretched to breaking. I should have asked her about something. But I still have time. It's interesting how seemingly simple events can affect a person. For example, there's such widespread occurrences of OCD among children where when you walk on the road you have to step on the tiles precisely, avoiding the cracks. It seems like nothing special, but if one doesn't get rid of it in time, just forgetting or forcing oneself to step over the tiles, it could become a really big problem in the future. For instance, one will only stare down and will get hit by a car. I never had anything like OCD, but minor events in my life often led to major troubles. Really, what's wrong with meeting a strange girl with cat ears in a pioneer camp on the edge of time and space, or possibly even between the worlds? Doesn't seem like a big deal. Although, perhaps I just got used to thinking that nothing really existed for me before this week. There was only this camp and this life. That's why something like a cat girl was just par for the course in this wonderland. She's just another character in this play, neither better nor worse than any other. But somewhere deep in my soul, I knew that wasn't so. All the camp inhabitants seemed normal, sometimes even too normal, with absolutely nothing remarkable about them. Geez. You could even say that my life here was simply boring. And now, my head was about to burst with thoughts, so I opened my eyes and jumped out of bed. The camp leader's cabin was the same as usual. Outside the window, a bird monotonously cheeped, trying to burst the caterpillars in my eyes with her singing. Capillaries. Oh, caterpillars in his eyes. The clock showed 11 a.m. Why didn't Olga Demetrina wake me up? Though who cares? I slept enough at least. However, I didn't feel like I'd fully recovered. The whole world was seemingly laughing at me, the bright sun outside, the lightly blowing breeze, gently whispering to the crowns of the trees. And this nasty bird had brought some fellows with her, obviously trying to ruin my mental stability. The water from the washstand was ice cold as usual. While washing my face, I realized that I forgot my toothbrush, tooth powder, and towel in the cabin. Strange I didn't forget my head. I couldn't imagine a worse start to the day. At that moment I thought it was the worst day of all that I have spent in this camp. Though there weren't a lot of choices, little more than 100 hours, not enough time to get the full image of a new home. Home. This word struck my mind painfully. Do I have to stay here forever? But why? How? What for? I helplessly sat on the grass and buried my face in my hands. Suddenly I remembered that girl. I wonder how many more fantastic characters I'll meet here. Is this the bad Semyon? A wonderful day, isn't it? I couldn't even be bothered to raise my head. Yeah, couldn't be any better, I answered, keeping the same pose. Why so sarcastic? Sarcastic? I was surprised and looked up, but there was nobody nearby. Is it my imagination? No, I heard that for sure. Maybe I'm losing my mind. That underground mine, Shurik, voices, the cat girl, more voices. Is there anything here I can be sure about? No. I punched the washstand painfully hard and immediately jumped up, holding my hand and cursing. Damn it! Suddenly, somebody walked out of the bushes in front of me. Or something. Hi. It was a girl from yesterday. Hi. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to expect from her. She's probably a hell beast and came here to end my life. That is, of course, only if it hasn't ended already. The cat girl stared at me. It hurts? She looked at my hand. Yeah, I answered timidly. Then why? Why what? Why did you punch it? 'Cause I was angry. I was completely unsure how I should talk to her. Perhaps one wrong word, phrase, or gesture could be fatal for me. Angry at who? But the girl wasn't showing any signs of aggression. It seemed that she was just wondering what is happening. At myself. I see. She smiled faintly. Listen, I don't know how should I put it, but I must ask. I kept silent for a moment, gathering myself. Who are you? The girl looked at me blankly. I am me, of course, she said confidently. No doubt about that, but how should I say it? You just don't meet a human with cat ears and a tail every day, you know. The cat girl carefully examined the aforementioned parts of the body and asked, Why? I was totally confused. If in the first few minutes I thought it was necessary to be afraid, to be very careful, now she seemed more like a good spirit being than a hostile monster. Because in my world, I was absolutely convinced that I shouldn't hide anything from her. In my world, this only happens in fairy tales. What's a fairy tale? Well, it's a story which cannot happen in reality. So, I don't really exist? The girl laughed. I'm not even sure that I exist. But I can touch you, so you exist. Just thinking about the fact that she'll touch me, I felt uncomfortable. Well, let's say I exist, yes. I stepped back. Goody goody. The girl smiled and waved her tail. There was an awkward silence. All the time I spent in this camp, I lived as if in a dream. Sometimes when you sleep, you realize that everything that happens in your brain is just a figment of your imagination, and you need just a wish. I thought so for the last 5 days. This thought constantly existed somewhere deep in my soul. However, it seems that everything is happening in reality. At least, I couldn't just wake up. I just want to understand. What? The girl was still smiling. How I got here, and how to get out of here. Suddenly I heard voices by the roadside, so I turned around. Slavia and Xenia were slowly approaching the washstands. But the girl had disappeared. Did you see it? Like I just needed someone to confirm the existence of this creature. Then I can convince myself that I'm not going crazy. What an irony, to go mad while in the land of Oz. Though just arriving here is already a ticket to the loony bin. And even if I wake up right now, I still wouldn't be sure that it was all a dream. See what? The girls looked at me blankly. Anyone beside me? I could hardly speak. So, an illusion, huh? So I'm actually... You should get your head examined, seriously. Xenia snorted and passed by. Slavia smiled apologetically and hurried after her. So it's all that simple? I wanted just one thing now, for someone in this nightmare to believe that I'm still sane. This whole camp and its pioneers did not seem as real as yesterday. In the end, less than a week ago, I lived a completely normal life of an ordinary man of his time and now. Maybe everything that happened made me think that all is going the way it should. That it's normal, just to exist here. And now the last leftovers of my common sense desperately clung to the cat-like girl with the ears, trying to prove to the locals that I'm not crazy. See, you don't exist, you. It's me and your tail, not you and mine. My head was about to explode. If not for the signal for dinner, perhaps I would have run to the library searching for medical books with lobotomy instructions. But food comes first. The canteen was crowded as usual. Some things never change. For the first time I looked at all the local pioneers with a slightly different angle. Indeed, why is everything so... correct? As if someone created this pioneer camp by carefully compiling material from the internet, without bothering to visit such a place himself. It was just like an old Soviet movie, the strict camp leader, the exemplary pioneers, even Uliana, and even Alyssa. All within the normal range. So where does that strange girl come from? She seemed like a smear of paint that just happened to be on the picture due to the shaky hands of a sloppy restorer. Electronic suddenly sat beside me. "Hey there." He smirked. "Hey. What are you thinking about?" "Just..." There was absolutely nothing wrong with speaking openly to anyone, not anymore. "Did you happen to see anyone strange here?" "Strange?" "Well, not quite human." "I don't really understand." Electronic laughed. "A girl with cat ears and a tail," I said shortly. "A girl with ears and a tail?" He began to think. "How do you know about her?" "Well, let's assume I saw her." This conversation was starting to get interesting. "Let's assume, or you actually did." "Is it really so important?" Electronic stared at me seriously. "There is a legend here about a cat girl. She steals food, small bits and pieces of stuff, and avoids people." "Really? A legend? So what does this girl look like?" "I never saw her myself. They say that she has a tail and ears as you described." "What else?" "Well, this legend is old, and I don't know much about it." "Who do you think knows more?" "Ask Olga Demetrina. She's been in this camp many times, even before she became a camp leader." "Alright, thanks." I stood up and went to find the camp leader. I bet she decided to take a nap after lunch. Perhaps Olga Demetrina was the only element that was somewhat out of place in the picture of an ideal camp. She certainly was not a role model camp leader. I opened the door and confidently entered the cabin. And indeed she was lying on the bed and reading a book as expected. "Semyon, slacking again?" "Yo, man, it's like lunch or whatever. I'm not slacking, I just didn't eat. Or I did, I'm not entirely sure. I just got done with the canteen and I came here, jeez. Gotta have more confidence in me, Olga Demetrina." "Actually, yes, but anyway. I wanted to ask you something." She stared at me and I hesitated a little. Maybe I shouldn't be so straightforward about everything. It was like my internal firewall had triggered and I just could not tell the camp leader that I had seen the cat girl today. Maybe I got quite used to hinting at something, avoiding straight answers, lying and keeping words back. In just 4 days. Although, I guess I'd been doing that my whole life. "Olga Demetrina, I was at the dinner. Spoke with the electronic. And he told me a legend about a cat girl that supposedly lives here. He also said that you would know more." "Why do you need to know about that?" The camp leader gave me a piercing look and stood up. "Just curious. I like stuff like that." I tried to smile, but it didn't seem to make things any better. "We have a completely normal camp." "Sure you do. Completely normal. Don't even want to imagine what you'd call unusual. I suppose something with zombies and maniacs. A nightmare on Sovianok Street." "Yeah, I understand, but Electronic said that you visited this place before." "Yes." The camp leader was thinking about something. "However, there is indeed a legend that somewhere in the surrounding woods a strange cat girl lives, sometimes stealing food and small items from cabins. She is afraid of people, and if someone accidentally sees her, she runs away." That was quite different from what I saw this morning. That girl was more like watching me, studying, trying to understand, but not afraid at all. "And you..." "Have I seen her?" Olga Demetrina interrupted me. "No, I haven't, but I was quite close to doing so several times. Bottles, milk, tooth powder, and plenty of other things disappeared from my cabin sometimes. Mysteriously disappeared without a trace. I'd completely forgotten about the fact that all the pioneers here do not actually exist and just listen attentively to the camp leader. I was curious where this stuff disappeared before. But in the end, there is no evidence of her existence. She smiled as if implying that this conversation is over. And if there was? Why are you so interested in this? Who wouldn't be interested in stuff like this? Though I still had many things to rack my brains for. I don't know. The camp leader thought about something for a second and then returned to her usual mother-of-all-camp state. Well, seems like you've decided to become completely laid back. Do something already. She paused and stretched herself in such a way that wrinkles that shouldn't even be there at her age came out. Go on, get down to business. I just sighed and went out. All in all, no one from among the pioneers has ever seen a cat-eared girl. They'd only heard legends. Well, I should probably find her. I'd already recovered from this morning's shock events, and existential thoughts have by now stopped pressuring my brain, so it was possible for me to take a reasonable position, more or less. It was necessary because I still had a lot of questions. How did I get here? For what reason? Why? And where is this here? And the cat girl is the catalyst for it all. But I didn't want to start theorizing about parallel worlds, aliens, experiments, and the afterlife again. I was fed up with this after just a few hours in this camp. Perhaps I just need to put aside the theories and look at the physical reality. Even if I assume that this world exists regardless of my will, and I have to live here, my arrival here is inexplicable. It's more worthwhile to concentrate on studying this world and on analyzing possible events which may happen to me here. I'll do that until the opposite is proven. Until then, let's assume that I'm stuck here. For the long haul, if not forever. The deck chair melodiously squeaked with my every movement. Lilac branches tried to strike me in the face, and the vile morning birds were silent for a long time, apparently tired of the summer heat. The treetops seemed like sharp peaks of the high walls of a medieval castle lost in the boundless woods. And these cabins, the square, Genda's monument, the clubhouse building, are just a little village of peasants, huddling near the millennial walls of a grim fortress hidden in a grove. And all of us here, either people like me or cat girls, are just servants of an evil genius hiding somewhere out there. It would be much easier if the camp was on top of a hill. Because 1,000 years ago, the best place for a fortification was always somewhere up high. Probably that someone just has nothing to be afraid of. But in that case, he would not hide so carefully behind the treetops. I sighed and closed my eyes. My consciousness slowly started to desert me, and soon the whole world faded into darkness. And again before my eyes, like an endless carpet, the road, surrounded by woods and fields, goes ever on. The bus is going somewhere, leaving behind everything I knew, loved, and hated. An unfamiliar girl is leaning over me and gently whispering something in my ear. I'm actually interested in what she's saying, but I can't hear her. I'm just watching everything from the side and can see everything except her face. And hear everything except her words. And feel everything except my own life. I woke up feeling like I was suffocating and began greedily sucking in air. My breath soon went back to normal and an intolerable thirst came upon me. But what was that dream all about? And who was that girl? These questions again. Maybe I've already died and gone to hell. Can a human being feel that his life is now over and that he can just move on to the next stage of existence? My head was about to explode due to such cosmic thoughts. What did I do to deserve this? I'm just an ordinary guy, not a philosopher, not a theologist, not a scientist. and I don't want to understand the substance of things, the way of the universe. I'm not asking for any more than just to live my life peacefully, and then doze off into eternal sleep when everything is over. But no, I'm just trapped here. Tears of frustration welled in my eyes. And why is it always like this? I start to think that if I give it any more thought, I would either understand the substance of all things or go insane for good. Ultimately, it all started with a bus. I got in, went to sleep, and there was a girl. Perhaps one of the local pioneers, maybe even that cat-eared one. Well, why not? I can't rule a single idea out, so I'm here now. My thoughts stopped. Tumbleweed rolled back and forth in my mind, bouncing around the organ which kept my ears from falling off. And that's all. Now I'm here in hell, heaven, purgatory, or whatever. Looks like I'm going to spend the rest of my eternity in this place. For some reason I fixated on this exact theory. It's strange that I didn't care about the fact that a spiritual being doesn't have basic human senses, sight, hearing, touch. All in all, at first glance, there was nothing different about me from my condition a week ago. Well, except for being a couple years younger. Then what's so bad about what's happened? I might even consider this a second chance. After all, it's not that hard to get a job. I could rent a room in a hostel. I'm 17 now. I'm still healthy. My brain's in excellent state. My energy is at its peak. I might try to achieve something. But what had prevented me from doing so before? Was I really that old back then? I jammed like an old rifle, and without outside help I wouldn't have escaped the cycle of self-reflection. Fortunately, Lena soon appeared by the camp leader's cabin.
Hi.
I raised my eyes reluctantly and stared through her for a few seconds. Hello. She stopped, looked away, and blushed.
Well, never mind. May I have a seat?
Sure. Lena perched herself on the edge of a deck chair.
What are you thinking about?
Trying to understand the laws of this world.
And how's it going?
Oh my god, you know what? Lena appearing has reminded me that I still have the harem ending to do, so we're not quite done with the core stuff just yet. Oh my god, how did I forget that? She asked seriously. Not too good. Perhaps they're beyond human comprehension.
Then maybe you shouldn't bother.
But what should I do? I just have to.
Why?
And really, why? Does it happen to be of some vital urgency? I didn't really bother thinking about things like that in the past and lived in relative peace. And what has changed so drastically now? I won't think about it now either, and I'll be living in somewhat different conditions, but what's wrong with that? If there is no choice, I don't know. It seems that nothing is up to me. It looked like Lena wanted to say something, but she didn't. And you probably came to see Olga Dimitrina?
Yes. I mean, no. But, to be honest...
What is it?
Sometimes I feel that way too.
What do you mean?
That nothing is up to me.
I looked at her attentively. She was sitting with downcast eyes, nervously toying with a handful of field flowers. They were yellow like the fervent rays of the summer sun.
Well, you know, these flowers, for instance, they were growing just for the sake of it, and then I ripped them out of the ground, and that's all.
She was literally about to start crying. It didn't really fit my picture of Lena. Well, yeah. To be honest, I really don't know what to say.
Well, so are we. We are ripped out, and then...
She got up abruptly and rushed in the direction of the square without saying goodbye. Indeed, Lena, like all the other pioneers, seemed to be real. Not a figment of my imagination, not a doll, not an NPC. A few hours ago I was sure that I was the only one who existed here, and possibly that cat-eared girl. I wish I could find her. I'm in a state of something like spiritual deprivation. All my senses are working properly, but I still have a powerful need to know why I'm here. As if the need for identity, to find my place in the world, to determine its nature, laws, and mechanisms had become vital, just like the need for food and rest. It is probably the worst punishment for a human, to have the desire to understand something but not the ability, to wish to change something but not to have the opportunity, to strive for something but to be unable to achieve it. I never seriously thought before, why am I in the world? How much time will I spend here? What do I have to do, and what will come next? Now, after encountering this other world, I have nothing left but to think about these. I guess that if it is possible to escape from here, I will return to my quiet life where I don't have such troubles. But I won't return. It's so hard to face a task which cannot be completed. If I could choose my fate, I would never agree to this bus, this camp, these girls. I would stay there, in my apartment, in front of the monitor. You can't demand anything more from a person than he can do. It's better to spend the rest of your life working in the mind than trying to understand something that just won't fit in your head. After all, there is no other way. Of course, it is possible to make a valiant effort to try not to think, try to accept this reality and to start a new life. But it's not part of the human nature to neglect everything that happens around you. If I was accused of a crime which I had not committed, of course I would try to resist to prove my innocence. No one would agree to live in jail instead of at home, whatever their home is like. And now it's me who was thrown from the world. I was used. What? I was used to into this jail? Though it is boundless, though there are no walls or bars on the windows, it is still a jail. I did not ask for this, and my only desire for now is to return back home. And the only key out here is hung just a bit higher than I can reach with a jump. And there's nothing helpful around, no chair, no stool, not even a small stone that could be put under my feet. And no one to help me. Few centimeters, just a few centimeters separating me from freedom, from realizing everything. Maybe it's impossible to return back home, but at least I'll be able to escape from this jail. That is exactly what I've wanted for the last 5 days. Night slowly descended onto the camp. Dinner went by without me, and the camp leader stopped several times by the deck chair trying to tell me something. But I was already in another world. The world of my cage with a key bound by a Gordian knot to a Drodney's thread. It was not long before that light in the cabin was turned off and the crickets started their lamentable whining all around. Oh, now you know that they're crickets. You wouldn't stop calling them grasshoppers last time. Somewhere in the distance, an owlet was hooting at the speed of 32 hoots per minute. I was sitting and rhythmically knocking, trying to accompany him. Suddenly bushes rustled around me and a squirrel with a nut in its teeth climbed on a tree. It must be hurrying to meet its family. The summer night's charm was as rich as always, but it didn't affect me in any way at all. The mechanisms of my brain and probably my soul were in need of serious maintenance, not just a slapdash repair of the bodywork and a new paint job. I decided to take a walk. Because thinking about it, I've been sitting in this deck chair for almost the whole day. I even took a small nap. Everyone in the camp was tired. The camp was sleeping. The walk between pioneer cabins, the square with the statue of Genda, the forest path, all that was changing like pictures in a kid's book. The whole world looked like a picture too. That is not what I was thinking just yesterday. And the reason for that was a strange girl with animal ears. A cat girl, though she could just as likely be another animal. It was like there's a defense mechanism that activated just after I appeared here, which didn't let me look for answers or get a hold of the situation. There were always more important things, such as missing the lineup, getting a comfortable seat during lunch, or sneaking away from the camp leader. Anything other than thinking about why I'm here and how I can get out. Anything. I sat on a stump and closed my eyes. A million images appeared in my brain at once, and among them was a road, a bus, and that girl. Yes, the girl with animal ears. It was her who was in the bus. I quickly opened my eyes and saw her in front of me. At first it looked like a dream or hallucination, but a sudden gust of cold wind brought me back to reality. The strange girl was sitting and sprinkling sugar on a mushroom.
They grow better this way,
she said with a serious face. Who? I uttered with difficulty.
The mushrooms, who else?
Mushrooms?
Yes, mushrooms.
Why do you need those mushrooms?
To eat, of course. Why else would you need mushrooms?
The girl pouted. I just didn't know how to start a conversation with her because I was sure that the thing which looked like a strange girl with animal ears had brought me here, and making friends with a higher being wouldn't do much good.
Do you have more sugar?
She asked suddenly. I don't know, no. Why do you need it?
What do you mean, why? I told you, for the mushrooms. They grow better that way.
Despite everything, the girl looked totally normal. Of course, you don't often see a human with animal ears and a tail, and they actually looked real, but apart from that, I can bring some. I don't know why I said that. Maybe I just wanted to earn her trust. As long as mind reading wasn't one of her abilities.
That's all right, no need. There's enough.
Good.
And...
What?
Why did you come?
What does she mean? Come to this glade, or come to this camp, or into this life? My head was about to explode from existential thoughts. Just a little bit more, and everything would become crystal clear. No, the answers and the understanding didn't appear from thin air. The safety device just cut in. Caution, doors are closing, no more people will fit in the train, the next stop is. The train was gone and I stayed on the platform without my luggage, wearing a light jacket in the -20°C frost. I was just having a walk. The words echoed hollowly in my head. I felt like a Viking from the Middle Ages who stands alone against 100 enemies. No doubts, no regrets, only an iron will to die hard.
I see.
The girl answered without much interest and went back to her work. It was you, back there in the bus.
Me?
She replied lazily without tearing herself away from the mushrooms. Why did you bring me here?
I didn't bring you.
Then who?
I don't know.
But were you in the bus?
I was.
And?
What?
Yelling at her was dangerous, but I couldn't help it. What? Answer me!
Did you ask something?
It looks like this conversation doesn't bother her at all. Who are you? She looked at me in surprise.
I am me.
Okay. Where are you from?
I don't know. I've always been here.
What do you mean, always? You must have come from somewhere, no?
I don't know.
I doubted for a moment that this is an omnipotent being before me. Of course, this girl's a little extraordinary, to be precise, absolutely extraordinary. And she was with me in the bus then, but maybe she has nothing to do with my arrival here. Anything is possible. What do you know?
I know how to make supplies for winter.
She smiled with sweetness and ease. What supplies?
Well, you know, for the winter. Could get cold. I've never seen the local winters, though.
How come you've never seen them, if you've always been here?
I don't know.
She looked at me intently.
Anyway, you're boring as hell.
Me?
Yes, you.
How do I bore you?
Your stupid questions.
Stupid? Well, I was dragged out of my usual world, brought here, and now my questions are stupid? You know what? You're stupid! This entire world is stupid! Leave me alone! I want to go home!
Yes,
she calmly replied. So, what questions would you consider not stupid?
Where one can get sugar, for example.
In the canteen, where else, idiot? You're the stupid one! Plenty for you to steal. You're well known for doing that, I've heard.
I don't steal.
The animal-eared girl was outraged.
I am borrowing it. It comes back anyway.
Comes back or not. I don't care. I want to understand how and why I'm here. I want to go back.
I'm not interested in that.
The girl stood up and shook herself. But I'm interested. If you're not the one to blame for everything, then you must know the answers. Someone should know them after all. She looked at me intently and laughed.
You're so funny.
I completely lost my temper. Stop mocking me, you. I'm fed up with you. Why me exactly? How am I worse than anyone else? I never asked for anything as fun as all this. Leave me alone. I didn't bother anyone. I didn't hurt anyone. What did I ever do to you? Get lost. Leave me in peace. My whole body shivered, the blood pounded in my head like a cannon, and everything went dark before my eyes.
Have you blown off all your steam?
She asked quietly. I was about to smash her. At least, I'll check if she's flesh and blood.
Alright, let's go.
Where?
You'll see.
The girl gestured me to follow her and went into the depths of the forest. After some time, I started to suspect that we were walking in circles. Finally, I decided to check it out and put a candy wrapper in a noticeable spot. Indeed, we soon passed it again. Wait. I didn't dare to grab her hand, so I tried to stop her verbally.
What?
Where are you taking me?
I said you'll see.
But we're walking in circles.
So what?
What do you mean, so what? You won't get anywhere by walking in circles.
But you said it yourself that you were just having a walk.
The girl seemed strange, illogical, even arrogant, as if she takes pleasure in mocking me, as a cat would. I'm not moving an inch until you explain what's going on.
Okay.
She stopped and leaned back against a large tree.
I was just bored. It's the same old stuff all the time. But recently lots of new stuff happened, and now...
Now what?
Now I can talk to you.
She smiled. And you couldn't do it before?
Well, I certainly could. Maybe.
So what happened?
I don't know.
Then why do you think that something has happened in the first place?
I've got a feeling.
A feeling, eh? I gave a helpless sigh. Maybe she's just a lunatic that escaped a local asylum and not an omnipotent being. Or she's like an experiment gone wrong. You know, the ears and the tail. Radioactive stuff. Come on. Let's get serious.
Okay, fine.
The girl looked at me intently. Who are you and what's happening here?
I don't know.
She answered with the same expression on her face. And who knows?
I don't know.
Alright, I'm going to sleep. Waste of my time! I had no strength to talk about it, to listen to her nonsense, to walk in circles in the forest. Even if she knows the answers and she can return me to the usual world and all, not today. Just enough for today. If I stay here one more second, there won't be anyone left to return.
Good night,
the girl said nicely. That's all?
What else do you want? You're going to sleep.
She's right. Okay, do you at least have a name?
Name?
Yes, a name.
I don't know.
And who knows?
I don't know.
Okay, and what should I call you then?
I don't know.
But a person, every single thing in the world should have a name. There's no other way. She looked at me uncomprehendingly. Alright then, you'll be Yulya.
Yulya.
I don't know why I chose that name. Maybe it's just the first thing that came to my mind.
Fine.
She smiled merrily.
And now I have to go.
The girl flicked her ears and disappeared into the forest. I slowly dragged my feet back to the camp. Now it looks like I was in some sort of tragic comedy. The higher beings cannot be idiots with the development level of a kindergartner, can they? Though it is possible they don't perceive the world the same way we do. I was so exhausted I couldn't fully comprehend everything that had happened to me recently. The answers could be right before me, I just need to stretch out my arm. It could be that saving stool which would help me to reach the key. And how would I be so calm in such a situation? Maybe I'm just tired. Dead tired. Olga Dmitrievna waited for me on the doorstep of her cabin. At last. And where were you wandering in the dead of night? I looked hard at the camp leader. I wonder, is she real? I don't have a single doubt about that girl, Yulya. She may not be human, but she exists. And what about Olga Dmitrievna, the other pioneers? You know, I saw that cat girl. Sure, of course, she chuckled. Well, you don't have to believe me if you don't want to. I don't want to, and I don't believe you. It's your choice, I said in a tired voice and pushed my way into the cabin. Semyon, tomorrow... I didn't hear the rest of her words. There was only one thing to understand, whether anything is up to me or not. Should I keep desperately reaching for that key, or is the cat girl the answer I've been looking for? Maybe the only thing left to do is to understand. No one ever said that the clue will be written straightforwardly in your own language. Though maybe I only knew those answers and I just had to comprehend their meaning. Maybe I always knew those answers. What if everything is not real and I'm just dreaming? What if I imagined everything about finding the answer, about understanding them? Maybe there is no cage, no jail, and the key is already being hung up from the burned-out lamp in my room, which has turned into a pioneer camp inhabited by unreal but very alive people who seem so understandable and so precious. Well, no. I'm not a wizard, not an oracle, not a god. Voltaire once said, illusion is the first of all pleasures. Maybe my most successful skill was my illusions. Lines of thoughts connected one by one, ready to keep it going until morning, but the safety device worked again and unplugged the whole system, instead of reformatting my brain like last time. I was woken by a hellish noise in my head. It turned out to be the alarm clock. Having found its button with difficulty, I turned it off. Olga Dmitrievna, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Why so early? I said in the direction of the other bed, opening my eyes. But there was no one there. The camp leader must have gone somewhere already. I rose with difficulty and looked myself over in the mirror. A common pioneer, nothing more. If someone showed me photos of the local residents with me among them, I'd never recognize myself. The sun shined brightly outside. Nature seemed to laugh at me. I slowly walked to the washstands. I met only a few pioneers on my way who were obviously in a hurry. Strange. Where are they going at such an early hour? The cold water refreshed me a bit and all the memories of the last few days poured in my head. Well, I should find Yulya and try to be very polite and proper this time. After all, if you can't even understand a fellow human being when judging him by your own worldview and ideas, then how can you talk to something completely alien? Why should aliens or catgirls follow the same moral laws and draw the same logical conclusions as I do? They may perceive the universe in a completely different way, and humans are just ants to them. We don't think anything of killing a troublesome mosquito, so why should they pay any attention to me and my small problems? Though it could all be totally the other way around. And Yulya may not be guilty in this. I see her. There was a rustle in the nearby bushes, and I saw a familiar pair of ears. I see you. Yulya reluctantly left her hiding place.
Come on,
she snorted, pouting. Are you watching me?
Yes. Is that not allowed?
Well, it's probably allowed. I wanted to talk to you anyway.
Really? Me too.
What about? I wondered.
Something strange is happening here.
Strange? What?
I don't know. It's just, everyone's behaving differently than usual. Something has happened. First you, then all the others.
What are you talking about? I don't understand.
I don't know, I just feel it, and when I feel something, it always happens.
Yulya looked downcast and even a little afraid. At this time, she totally doesn't look like any kind of higher being. Okay, let's investigate it together.
No one should see me. Come here in an hour until then.
The sound of heavy steps sounded from the road, someone running. I turned around and saw Slavia approaching. Yulya disappeared into the forest as expected. Hi. I smiled.
Yeah, hi.
She looked really nervous with her cheeks blushing, eyes sparkling, and braids all messy.
Semyon,
Come with me, you'll see for yourself. What happened? Slavia's face wore such a pleading expression that I decided not to argue. She grasped my hand and dragged me to the square. The entire camp was probably there. As we turned the last corner, I looked past a crowd of pioneers who were standing in the direction of Genda, and there was... In a distance where before there were fields and forests, a city slowly started to appear. At first it was faded like it was made of smoke, but then it became more solid as if emerging from a fog. Sky City, I thought at once. But strange or not, there was nothing special about it, just a normal city, plenty of those in the territory of our vast country. You could call it too normal, almost boring. A city you would never pay attention to when passing by, in a car or flying over in a plane. But to see such a thing here and now in the camp, lost in the vast fields and forests of another dimension, where the only life consists of the local pioneers, squirrels, and mosquitoes. Even a cat girl is not that strange compared to this. Slavia kept squeezing my hand tightly. Pioneers whispered around us as if afraid to speak in a loud voice, afraid that that illusion would disappear, or even the opposite. It'd become more real, crushing the little camp Soviet beneath it. But the city stayed in place like a white cliff rising above a valley. There was nothing special about it, neither gigantic skyscrapers nor significant architectural constructs. Only houses of different colors and different numbers of floors, industrial buildings and a hospital or something like that. You couldn't make out people or cars from that distance, but I was sure that the city is teeming with its own life, independent from our camp. I wonder if someone there got up on a roof and is looking at us through binoculars, trying to make out the pioneers crowding in the square. Indeed, it seemed like something flashed on one of the tallest buildings in the distance. But wait a minute. Binoculars. According to my estimations, there was about 2 or 3 kilometers in the city, so if I want to understand something right now, then I need binoculars or a spyglass. I ran to Olga Dmitrievna. Do you see that too? Yes, of course, she replied as if strained. I need binoculars or a spyglass. The camp leader stopped watching the faraway city for a moment and looked at me uncomprehendingly. Binoculars. Yes, go to the cybernetics club. There should be some. I darted off and rushed in the direction of the club's building. Electronic and Shirk were tinkering with something as usual and looked like they knew nothing about the weird stuff happening in the camp. Binoculars, quick! I shouted, trying not to lose my breath. What is it? Haven't you seen it? God damn, you're sitting here with your robots like owls. Do you have binoculars or a spyglass? I pronounce each word slowly like a caveman who had just learned how to speak. Can you calmly explain what this is all about? No time to explain. Give me the binoculars and hurry to the square. The young cybernetics didn't keep arguing with me, and in a minute we were standing with the rest of the pioneers as I used the binoculars to carefully examine the city which appeared from God knows where. At first glance there was nothing special about it, and it gave me an impression of being from my time, the beginning of the 21st century. Ad boards, satellite dishes, pompous shop signs, modern cars. Give those to me. The camp leader snatched the binoculars from my hands. Oh, you should have got your own.
So is that your world?
I turned around and saw Yulya standing next to me. You said no one should see you.
Yes, but...
She was lost in thought.
No one sees me right now.
The pioneers didn't pay any attention to the strange girl with cat ears, too occupied by watching the far-off city. Do you know what it is, and why?
No,
she answered after a short pause.
There was nothing like this before, nothing at all.
And what was there?
Well, you came, then left, then came again.
And what did you do all that time?
I told you before I was preparing supplies for the winter.
I totally couldn't understand. Does Yulya really not consider this situation even a little bit strange, or is she just good at role-playing? However, you would need to put on such a show for my benefit alone. I'm nothing but a guinea pig in a cage. I don't believe you. You should know something. Semyon. I turned to the camp leader. I have no idea what all this is about, but it looks very strange. We should call the police. Olga Dmitrievna reacted in the usual way, like a normal person would in such a situation. I turned back to Yulya to triumphantly inform her about it, but the cat girl had already disappeared. What can it be? The camp leader said quietly, not addressing anyone. I didn't know if I could tell her about myself, about the future, about traveling to the past. How do I know that that city really is for my time and not just like way further into the future and just screwing with me? Could it be just another illusion and the behavior of pioneers is just a part of it? And what if it isn't? This... I didn't manage to say any more. Cool, cool! Uliana shouted, appearing from nowhere. Let's go and check it out. Oh yeah, they must be expecting us. Wait a moment. We should think it over first. Lena came up to us but didn't say anything. What do you think, Semyon? Slavia asked and stared at me as if expecting an immediate answer. And actually, why should what I think about it matter? What is the difference between me and them which makes me all-knowing? What does it matter that I'm new to this world? The things that are happening are as obscure to me as for any other local. I have no idea. Indeed, let's go and see for ourselves. It doesn't seem to be too far. But it's dangerous.
Isn't sitting here dangerous too?
Lena said shyly. All the pioneers and the camp leader looked at her uncomprehendingly.
Well, I mean, if that city has appeared so suddenly, then something else could happen too and we...
She seemed to be getting completely confused, and so she stopped talking. Well, she is right, Alyssa said in a lazy voice. I certainly don't understand what this is all about, but I'm not going to just sit and wait till something else happens. So if no one else is going to? And me! Uliana interrupted her. Well, what then? What if it is just an illusion? Then we don't lose anything. I was a bit surprised by the locals' urge to find out the nature of this phenomenon, because before they had avoided any conversations related to my appearance in this world. Maybe it's a riddle inside a riddle. Like two enclosed spheres. We are within the shell of the outer one, where everything is clear for them but alien to me, and that city is just the intersection of the two spheres. Circles. 3D circles. However, if it is true, then I should be located on the boundary, not knowing anything but one or the other. Olga Dmitrievna was doubtful. Everyone else waited for her approval or strict prohibition. Prohibition? English language sucks, by the way. Nothing surprising about that. In the life of a camp organized as Swiss watch. Why is Swiss so hard to say? She was a tyrant and despot, but when the boundaries of Sovyanuk expanded and a mysterious opponent appeared from beyond them, she couldn't keep the reins of power in her hands, started to panic, to feel restless on the throne which was losing its appeal. Doesn't she always not hold the reins of authority? This may be the right time to start acting with confidence. I think we should go and check it out. How long should I sit here trying to look for some answers? Where do I find them? In the canteen? In the camp leader's cabin? Near the Genda statue? I have nothing to do here, especially when such an opportunity comes across. But... Olga Dmitrievna shyly objected. What if we're already dead or something? I had to motivate the others in some way, but I hadn't decided to tell them about myself. So I'll just tell them, what if you're dead? 'Cause that's comforting.
How's that? Dead?
An expression of terror filled Lena's face. I'm not talking literally, but anything could happen. We can't tell for sure what's going on here, so any theory has to be considered. Lena started crying and Slavia tried to comfort her. Good job, Semyon. It's even more fun that way. And here's Ulyana, for whom even death itself may not be a good reason to act calmly. We should go in any case, Alyssa said cheerfully. I turned around and looked at Shurik and Electronic. Well, we'd better stay here, try to measure it, make calculations. I see. I didn't actually expect any help from those two. You're not going to be part of my harem. You guys can stay here, I don't care. Then you should get ready. Prepare everything you may need. Olga Dmitrievna started to busy around. Flashlights, warm clothes, walkie-talkie. Do you have a walkie-talkie in the club? She addressed the cyberneticists. They nodded an affirmative. In half an hour, the investigation team gathered at the square. Me, Alyssa, Lena, Slavia, Ulyana. I was given quite a heavy backpack, packed with warm clothes, flashlights, some other necessities, and in my hands I held a shortwave walkie-talkie. I could certainly manage to walk those 2 or 3 kilometers wearing it on my shoulders, but why not distribute items among everyone? Well, you know... I dropped the backpack on the ground and looked at the camp leader. I'm the only man here and you immobilized me. Everyone should carry their own share. The girls hesitated. The first one to come to the backpack was Ulyana. She took a flashlight and a warm jacket, grousing. You guys are all mean. Don't even want to carry anything. The rest of them followed her example. I didn't expect such boldness from myself, and expected even less from them to agree without question. Even the local pioneers may try to behave logically in critical situations. After a couple of minutes, we were at the camp's gates. I hope you understand that I can't go with you. I have to look after the others and... It's alright, you don't need to explain. You're not part of my harem either. Shoo. I didn't count on Olga Dmitrievna's help, especially as there was some truth in her words. Good luck. And don't forget that you have the radio. The summer sun scorched us mercilessly. The warm sweater in the bag seemed a kind of mockery. I would give it and all the flashlights and even the walkie-talkie away in exchange for the camp leader's Panama hat and a bottle of water. And why didn't anyone think of bringing a water flask? Oh. There was less and less clothes on the list with every passing minute. Let's have a rest. I slowed down, shaded my eyes with my palm, and looked in the direction of the city, which was to the right of us. It didn't seem to be an inch closer. Why not head straight to it? Liliana sounded annoyed. How's that, straight through the forest and fields? I don't mind, even that would be better than making detours. It would be quicker to go by road. Look, it makes a turn there. Slavia tried to reason with her. Do as you wish. Alyssa flopped down on the grass by the roadside. I'll take a break. We settled in the shade of a small bush near the power line. I took out the binoculars and looked at the city. The multi-storied buildings still shined in the distance. Why aren't we getting closer? Or is it the heat which is creating an optical illusion? A nearby bush rustled lightly, and I turned around and saw a pair of cat ears sticking out of it. Wait, I'll be back in a moment. Having walked around the bushes, I gestured to Yulya to follow me, and only after making sure we had enough distance from the others that they wouldn't see us did I speak. So, are you watching us?
Well, of course. I'm interested too.
Ah, I see. Then you surely don't know what awaits us there, do you?
Surely don't.
She smiled. And you have no idea why don't we get any closer to the city?
Actually, I do,
Yulya replied calmly. Why then?
Because you can't leave this place.
I sighed heavily as usual and leaned against a lone tree. Maybe it's the right time to tell me everything. She got lost in thought.
It's different before. You came and then you left and then you came again. And even if you went out so far, it was all the same, and the city is your world.
Why do you always refer to it as my world?
Because it is not of this place.
Yulya was exasperated. And what is this place? Can you be any clearer? I certainly wasn't mad at her. It seemed to me that the cat girl wasn't hiding anything important, but she just did not understand the questions or did not know the answers.
I don't know.
All right, let's do it step by step. How long have you been here?
Always.
Always is too complex a definition for a human. Though, you are probably not human. I was lost in thought. And what am I doing here?
You were always here too.
How is that possible? Did I duplicate myself? Because I don't remember anything like this.
Well, it is you, and it's like it's not you. There are many of you.
And you are the only one?
I am the only one.
Yulya smiled amiably and waved her tail. One for all my parallel selves?
Something like that.
So are you like omnipotent? I didn't manage to find a better word for it.
I don't know.
I'm gonna take that as a no then. Do you have any supernatural abilities? Can you fly, throw fireballs, teleport?
I can make supplies for the winter.
She answered in a serious tone. Alright, that's also a no. Let's consider that a no. And what is the purpose of all this?
I don't know.
If I was rather calm at first, and after all these I don't knows, I started to lose my temper. You know... Semyon. I heard Slavia shouting. I turned around, and when I looked back at the place where Yulya was standing, she had already disappeared. There you go again. I gnashed my teeth and went back to the girls. We had been walking for several hours, but the city still was in the same place. It wasn't getting even a meter closer to or further away from us. I told you we should go straight to it. Shut up. I don't understand.
Could it really be an illusion?
Lena, who hadn't uttered a word before, said, No, even an illusion in a desert disappears if you get close enough to it. Probably. So what now? Alyssa said, outraged. I'm sick and tired of this. Let's go back. Go if you want. Nobody is stopping you. Slavia snarled at her. Everyone looked at her in surprise. It was really strange to hear such things from the role model pioneer. Why are you always so unsatisfied with everything? You don't like it? Get your ass back. Like I asked you, Alyssa said uncertainly.
Well, she's right.
Lena cut into the conversation.
I'm fed up with your whining.
Uliana got scared and hid behind me. What's happening to everyone? Oh, you're here to look better at someone else's expense. Sure, it's easier to stand out with me in the background.
Oh, trust me, you won't be able to stand after what I'll do to you.
Lena rushed at Alyssa, but Slavia stood between them. Hell no. Let me go first. Stop it! Uliana yelled in tears. I had no idea what to do in such a situation, but I couldn't let them fight. However, I didn't have to interfere. Yulya jumped out from nowhere, got between the girls, and hissed in rage. It shouldn't be like this. This is not right. You must not act like that. It's not your purpose. The girls jumped back. Alyssa squealed, Slavia adopted some kind of fighting position, and Lena was holding a knife which she pulled from God knows where. Jesus Christ, Lena! Who are you?
Who is it?
What is it? I couldn't tell if she was addressing Yulya or me. Wait. Ew, what is that? Freak of nature! I stood between them and the cat girl. I can explain everything. It's like I'm making excuses. To who and for what? She should explain everything. The girls relaxed a bit. Well, have you all heard the legends of the cat girl? So this is... It's such a stupid name. Have you heard of the legends of the cat girl? It's just a normal human with cat ears and a tail. Wild. She's been in this camp for millennia. Yulya kept on hissing, but more quietly. She knows, Slavia said coldly. She knows what this city is. She knows everything. She knows nothing. I know nothing, Yulya confirmed. Did you ask her properly? Alyssa stood up and cracked her knuckles. What the hell are you doing? Stop at once. First the bus, the camp, then you, then her, now that damn city. I started yelling, gritting my teeth, Sork's probably flying from my eyes. Enough is enough. I've had it with the damn uncertainty. Either you explain what's happening here, or I won't move an inch from here. Kill me if you want, I don't care. Do you think I can put up with anything? That I would pretend that there's nothing happening and I understand nothing regardless what you do? I don't care. Everything has a limit. I finished my speech more calmly, having lost my breath from yelling. The blood hammered in my temples. The world became darker for one moment, then the next it painted itself with unimaginable colors. The girls looked at me with surprise and even with fear. Yulya stopped hissing and again looked indifferent to everything around her. All right. I declared and started to walk along the road in the direction of the city, which moved a step further away for every step I took. No one followed me. The sun started setting beyond the horizon, and the city, still visible in the east, was little by little being absorbed by mist. I couldn't tell where it is really located because the fields ahead were disrupted by forests, but its buildings still rose above them as the central element of the diorama. The city stood mute, as if hovering over the world, looking down with silent reproach at my trivial attempts to reach it. According to my calculations, I'd walked much more than 2 or 3 kilometers, which was the theoretical distance to the city. I stopped to rest in the shade a couple of times, and the evening coolness became my savior. However, there could be no city at all, and I'm just running like a hamster in a wheel, feeling the exhaustion of the distance I covered, but with my destination somewhere outside the cage. I remember yesterday thoughts about the key hanging right under the ceiling. It would certainly be useful to me now. Maybe there are no answers at all. I'm too tired even to think about it. Plus that enraged outburst from the girls. Ah, screw it. I sat down on the side of the road, raising a little dust storm from the ground, which covered me and made me cough. Tears filled my eyes. When I opened them again, Yulya stood before me. There seems to be an advantage to being a cat. You move much faster than humans.
Where are you going?
She asked, paying no attention to my words. I'm going right there. I waved a hand in the direction of the city.
But why?
Where are the others?
They went back to the camp.
I see.
So, why are you going there?
Because I got lost in thought. What else is there to do? What will happen if I just sit here?
Nothing.
That's what I mean. Yulya looked at me intently and sat beside me.
I would like to help,
she suddenly said in a quiet voice. Then help.
I don't know how.
Tell me about the city, about this world, why I'm here, how to go back.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it always was like that. You came to the camp in a bus, spend a week here, and then, regardless of the outcome, everything repeats. And there are many of you. They're all different.
What do you mean different?
Not like you. You're the only one like this. That's why I can talk to you and the others just don't understand.
What don't they understand?
They disappear sometimes.
Yulya kept talking, ignoring my question.
That's the way things should be. I have no idea why, but they should. They do not return here after 7 days, but the new ones come who are just like the previous ones. Everyone is the same in the beginning, almost the same. The differences come after some time, especially when they have understood that everything should repeat itself again and again.
Does that mean that I am destined to walk in circles too?
I don't know. This time is different.
Why does it all happen? Who are those others? She looked at me uncomprehendingly.
But they're you.
What do you mean, me?
You and all those others.
She groused, trying to find the right words.
You all are the same.
So are they clones of me or something?
What are clones?
Copies. Like 2 identical mushrooms you prepare for the winter.
There are no 2 identical mushrooms,
Yulya said seriously. Imagine that there are.
Identical mushrooms. Maybe, I don't know.
God, this is a nightmare. Yeah, it is. Just majority of her dialogue is, I don't know. Get it through your head, Semyon. I don't friggin' know. If I knew, I would tell you, but I don't. So I put my head on my knees and closed my eyes. We sat in silence for several minutes. I really wanted to understand what was on Yulya's mind. After all, even if she really knows nothing, then she should at least have some thoughts about the things that are happening. Okay, what should I do? I asked in a serious tone. She looked at me uncomprehendingly again. What would you advise me to do?
I don't know.
What would you do in my place?
Me? In your place? But that wouldn't ever happen.
Yulya laughed loudly.
You are you and I am me.
Just imagine it. You have your mind, then you should have an imagination.
Well, I wouldn't change anything.
Why not?
Because it is the way of things. It's better and less troubling this way.
So it's less troubling to sit in this camp and wait for endless repetitions?
Yes.
I couldn't agree with that, just couldn't. As long as it's in my mind to change something, or even just to try to, I have to act. I rose up from the ground and marched forward towards the distant city, visible in the crimson rays of the faraway sunset. The road took a sudden turn at last. The buildings, which were just rising above the trees before, disappeared from my sight, and the country landscape in front of me was replaced by industrial suburbs. It was dark already. Scattered bright stars filled the sky, still visible from where I stood, but disappearing above the city, which was full of distant lights from windows and street lamps. A silent dark night reigned behind me, interrupted only by the warbling of sleepy night birds, the rustle of grass, and the monotonous buzzing of insects, while in front of me there was a human anthill which couldn't stop talking even for a minute, happily winking with thousands of lights and shouting with millions of voices. The road I walked seemed stranger. It was empty, as if deserted, used by neither cars nor people. Like a narrow path leading away from this world into another one. Yulya walked in silence beside me all this time. "Why are you here?" I asked quietly.
"I have to be with you."
"Why?"
"It's strange. The city always was on the right side and now it's in front of us."
She ignored my question. "Not much stranger than anything else. I've walked about 10 or 20 kilometers and it's still so far away."
"Far away?"
"We may never reach it." I stopped and tried to imagine what awaits me there. Is that city similar to my home one? What is its architecture like? Who lives there? And why did I come to the conclusion that there are any people there? That it isn't just an illusion, one of the lame tricks of the sick world. Even Yulya says that she's seeing all this for the first time. Suddenly the walkie-talkie I still had with me made a nasty sound, and the aggravated voice of Olga Dmitrievna said, "Semyon, do you copy, Semyon?" After a moment I pushed the button and answered. "Yeah." "Semyon, so much is happening. Come back at once." "What? What is it? What happened?" I asked without much interest. The camp leader, the pioneers, the whole camp was left far behind, not just a dozen kilometers, but much further. Everything that happened in the last few days lost any meaning, like a nightmare you start to forget. Now when there was a real world in front of me, I had no other choice but to believe that when I reach the city everything will end. "Semyon, hurry. There's no explanation. It's a disaster." "There's no time to explain." The static grew stronger, drowning out the camp leader's voice.
"Will you go?"
Yulya asked, agitated. "Where? Back there? No, why should I?"
"But..."
"You want me to go back?"
"I don't know. What do you want?"
Really, what do I want? To get to that city, what I've been doing the whole day, or something more global to escape from this world? And what if something bad actually happened back there? That thought sent a flash of pain in my head. Something happened to Slavia, to Lena, to Ulyana, even to Alyssa. And why is the question, why would I care, not bothering me now? But yes, I do care. I got so much closer with them recently, and I had really got used to the life of the camp. But what will happen to the city? Would it disappear as suddenly as it appeared? And what if everything went the way Yulya described? No, I should not allow it. The walkie-talkie hissed, but I didn't want to turn it off in case I heard something again.
"So what have you decided?"
I had to make a decision. "Okay." I forced myself to speak.
"What?"
Yulya was surprised. "Okay, let's go back. Weren't you expecting this answer?" She smiled cunningly.
"No. Why do you think that?"
"Because you always say that everything repeats itself after 7 days and I can't get out of here."
"So we'll check it out."
"Well, check it out. Shouldn't we check out the city for starters?"
"It's up to you to decide."
I looked at her intently. Something seemed to have changed in Yulya, but I couldn't understand what it was exactly. I've already decided, I mumbled. Then we should go. The cat girl made her way across the field in the direction of the forest with confidence. Hey, wait, where are you going?
It will take less time.
Less time? The thoughts started spinning in my head furiously, merging into one which probably wouldn't be a pleasant one. So all this time, I wasted so much time and energy walking all the way over here, and I could have took a shortcut. Thanks. I caught up with her in 2 strides and grabbed her tail. Did you know all this time that I could go straight here without wandering for the whole day? Yulya hissed furiously and bared her teeth and let go of her tail. No. I mean, I might have known, but you have nothing to do there. In that city?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. Shouldn't be that way. It's not right. I can't explain, I just know.
I turned around and looked at the distant lights. I wonder, could things get any worse? It's not that everything is really bad right now, but what if that city doesn't disappear, and what's happening at the camp? What do Olga Demetrina's words mean? Should I still hesitate? If I have already decided what to do? Alright, let's go. We walked through the forest almost all the way, crossing forest edges and fields just a few times. Yulya seemed extremely satisfied with something. Would you explain what's happening to you?
Everything is just so unusual.
Because it was not like this before? Everything repeated itself after 7 days. Yeah, I've heard it already. She just smiled in return. I wonder what happened back at the camp. Look. The camp gates were visible in the distance beyond the trees. We started to walk faster.
And everyone turned into cat people.
It was clear that something was wrong. Semyon seemed abandoned. I could assume that pioneers went to bed, but there were no lights except for the street lamps. And why isn't Olga Demetrina waiting for us here with a biohazard squad? She said on the radio that something happened. A strange anxiety had overwhelmed me at once. I looked at Genda and there. The city! There's no city! Yulya seemed to be surprised too, surprised for real, so I didn't jump at her with questions. Having reached the camp leader's cabin, I stopped for a moment in hesitation. Images of possible events flashed before my eyes. However, I quickly pulled myself together. This is just some nonsense. There was nothing to support the idea of this science fiction story turning into a bloody thriller. I determinedly pulled the door handle and entered the cabin. No one was inside. Well, no point in staying here then. I rushed to the cabin of Ulyana and Alyssa. Without dwelling on my thoughts, I knocked on the door. But only silence responded. I walked around the cabin and looked in the window. It was empty. Oh, I see. Freaky little cat. Staring through the window. Well, that doesn't mean anything. They might have gone somewhere. I ran to the canteen. Maybe everybody decided to have a late dinner. However, the door was locked. I went back to the square and dropped onto a bench exhausted. Enough running, maybe? Yulya, who had followed me in silence, asked without much interest. Well, true. Why did I start panicking? Though, what if something actually had happened? Well, I'm hungry. I'll go look for something to eat. I didn't object, and in a moment, Yulya just silently disappeared in the night. She comes back with, 2 mice. Here, you can have this one. Gotta eat it raw. Raw or nothing. It's either some stupid prank, which was hard to believe, or everyone really has disappeared somewhere. The event itself isn't any stranger than my arrival here, or that mysterious city which showed up and then vanished, but had gotten used to the camp and its inhabitants, and now such a twist. I'd more or less adapted to my new circumstances, and now something happens again. I cursed and covered my face with my hands. I would probably have sat like that for several minutes until tears started to flow, but my eardrums were almost broken by a loud noise. It sounded like a thunderclap. But where did it come from? There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I opened my eyes and saw someone in front of me. You, I uttered, stammering. A thunderstorm rumbled in the clear sky, the lightning flashes obscuring the face of the man standing before me. Why the sad face, Semyon? Who are you? I shouted. Calm down. You don't have to get so tense. Nervous cells don't regenerate, you know. My first thought was to run, but my body didn't respond to that idea. The lightning was still flashing brightly, and there was no chance to see the pioneer's face clearly. However, I was sure that I had heard that voice before. Who are you? I asked in a quieter tone. Perhaps you have more appropriate questions. Where has everyone disappeared to? They have played their parts, and we don't need them anymore. Parts? What parts? Their parts. And what about the city? What city? I wasn't sure whether I caught a trace of surprise in his voice, or I was just hearing things. The city, there! I waved my hand in the direction of Genda. Ah, you're talking about... He went silent for a moment. It's your fault. I don't understand. It's because you don't try hard enough. The pioneer raised his voice. You just need to think. Just think. How long have you been here? 5 days? 6? Or 26? 6, probably. 6? Why 6? Are you sure about 6? Why are you sure? Because you counted the number of dusks and dawns? Or because you looked at the date on your mobile phone? I don't know. The pioneer before me lost his temper. He had no clue what he was talking about. 6. Okay, let it be 6. He said calmly. And haven't you been here before? No. Are you sure about that too? I don't know. And what if I say that you've been here before? I had absolutely no idea how to react to his words. Something was happening to me like on the first day here, something inexplicable, terrifying, and maybe dangerous. But I don't remember. Why do you have to remember? He fell silent, seemed lost in thought. However, you really don't remember. Well, I'll tell you then. I could hardly hear his words through the sound of thunder. My eyes were getting teary because of the lightning flashes, but I was afraid to even blink and give this pioneer a chance to disappear. He might really tell me how I turned up here. This is not the first time you've been here. I don't know how many laps you've had, but it doesn't matter. But why? I don't remember anything. You shouldn't remember. You shouldn't. He shouted. Sorry. I decided not to interrupt him. Yes, it's not your first time here. He continued in a calmer voice. But this time is special. It'll be the last one for you. I couldn't understand what his definition of the word last was. Will I get out of here and return to my normal life, or does it mean that I'll die here? Well, that's only my opinion. He went silent for a long time. I decided to ask a question at last. How do you know all this? How? Let's say that I'm your brother in misfortune, and... An explosion sounded nearby. It seemed like lightning struck a tree just a dozen meters away from me. I instinctively covered my head with my hands and fell beneath the bench. I don't know how long I was lying there, but by the time I had slightly recovered from the shock, the thunderclaps had stopped. I opened my eyes. Yulya was standing where the pioneer had been standing before. So you met your colleague. She smiled and offered me a hand. Shocked, I didn't know what to do and kept lying down. How long are you planning to stay there? I stood up with difficulty. Who was that? If I have to choose a lesser evil, then I would rather trust Yulya than that mysterious pioneer. Well, how should I put it? She got lost in thought. You know, you're not the only one. To be more precise, you're the only one here, but there's more of the same camp, lots of them, and there are more of the same you, a lot of them too. I didn't understand anything. Some of them can appear in the other places like this pioneer, for example. So you knew all that, but didn't tell me? I mean, she kind of did. She did mention there was you a lot, I think. You didn't ask. She shrugged her shoulders. Should I be afraid of him? I don't think you should, though. Should I or should I not? My anxiety grew. I doubt that he can take a physical form, but you should be careful with him. I had received so much information at once that I would need more than a week to comprehend it all. Though keeping all that in mind, I understood that this information didn't explain anything at all. So there are lots of people like me. Yes. But how did we get here? I don't have an exact answer for that question. I just know that it's you who came here. Just one person came here, to be more precise. Yulya now looked nothing like that strange girl with animal ears who was sprinkling sugar on mushrooms. She was the exact opposite. There was confidence in her eyes and even more arrogance, and no sign of her earlier childish whatever. It's okay. Who are you, then? Me? Yes. Honestly, I have no idea. I stared at her with an open mouth. How's that? You have no idea? She's never had an idea. Why are you surprised? The only thing I remember is that I was here. I don't remember anything else, like there was nothing else. I must watch you, all of you, and I exist in all camps simultaneously. Every time I get to that word, I can't do it. Also, when I say her name, my brain is trying to say Oliana, but that's not her name. After recovering from my shock, I continued. And you don't know who you are? Bingo. She laughed. But that's impossible. Well, I would understand amnesia, but all-powerful beings can't have it. And who told you that I'm all-powerful? Are you not? Actually, I'm capable of nothing. I can't interfere with the natural flow of events. But didn't you know or see? I know a bit of something. I saw a bit of something. And what will you know? I had no idea how to put the question. Nothing. Usually 7 days pass and one of you leaves the camp. I would even say disappears. Then a new one comes and everything repeats. The number of camps is constant. We spoke about this before. Disappears where? I don't know. That can't be possible. You told me so much and... Do you think I'm hiding something from you? No. Yes. I said, exhausted. I guess I shouldn't doubt her words. At least for now. Maybe they don't disappear, they just go for another lap.
I can't rule out that possibility, but I don't think they do.
And what is happening to me now, then?
I can't explain this either, but I know for sure that this was meant to happen, and this is something unusual. The course of events is different this time.
The pioneer spoke about it too.
He might know more than me.
But how should I understand all of this? I sighed deeply and covered my head with my hands.
I think we'll find that out very soon.
Okay, but finally, who are you then? Yulya pouted her lips. I told you before.
Yes, Semyon!
God! Why don't you just ask this question first instead of asking her, who are you, like 5,000 times? So, do you have memory loss then?
No.
She thought for a moment.
I don't have a memory at all, probably. There was no me before this camp. I didn't exist.
But I didn't finish the sentence. Taking into account everything that happened here, there was a lot I could only make assumptions about. And that means I should not be surprised by a girl with animal ears. Are you something like an observer here?
Probably. I think that word is the most appropriate.
And what about all the inhabitants disappearing after playing their parts?
What are you talking about?
The pioneer said that.
Parts.
She moved her ears in a funny way, making me smile.
There is something to it, because only you are real here. I mean you, that pioneer, and all the other ones.
How's that?
I told you, I don't know. You can assume that I appeared here with a limited amount of knowledge, nothing more. There are things that I'm not sure about, and there are things that I know no more about than you.
Fine. On one hand, her words seem logical enough. If you can even talk about logic in such a situation. And what do you suggest to do next?
To wait and see how things will turn out.
Yeah, you can't change anything. I mumbled.
Anyway, it's dinner time.
She smiled merrily and waved her tail. Didn't you go to look for something?
I didn't find anything. I had no time. I saw the lightning and came back at once.
Let's go. She went in the direction of the canteen. She'd better stick with me. It might be that there was no pioneer at all. And if I wasn't the only one who can see him, then there would be less grounds to doubt my sanity, which was not feeling very secure lately. Yulya sat at the table and looked at me.
So?
What?
Dinner.
Yeah, what about it? I yawned. The time was long past midnight. By the way, how did you open the canteen?
You've got to have the skills.
No need to continue with this topic. Maybe it's better to go to sleep. Cook, now, she said in a dictatorial tone. Me?
I don't see anyone else around.
Oh, okay. I slowly walked towards the kitchen. Because of all the talk of food, I suddenly felt hungry. I found a carton of eggs in a fridge and called out to Yulya. Hey, how about scrambled eggs?
Well, maybe.
I started cooking. Funny the way things turn out. Bizarre and incomprehensible events are happening to me, and yet I'm still standing here making dinner. Just hoping for the best. It's a typical Russian feature, yes. Nevertheless, I'm quite sure that nothing bad will happen, and in case of unexpected problems, Yulya will protect me. Although she says that she does not know much, in a critical moment I can certainly rely on her. There's simply nobody else to count on. Just yesterday nothing was up to me, but at least I had a slight idea what was happening. However, now the only thing left to do is to comfortably lean back in a chair and wait for the installation to finish. I added grated cheese, mayonnaise, salt and pepper, and poured the well-stirred mass into the pan. Why mayonnaise? Oh, okay, he's adding more stuff, but it's still kind of weird. I also found a salami in the fridge and a loaf of bread on the shelf next to it. Soon we were sitting in silence and eating scrambled eggs.
Yummy, yummy.
It's nothing special. Ordinary bachelor-style dinner.
Never tried anything like this.
Probably better than mushrooms and nuts.
That's enough,
Yulya answered angrily. When we finished dinner, I said, "Tell me something about yourself, though you probably have nothing to tell."
Probably.
How long have you been here?
I don't know, a long time.
But you're mostly human?
Well, very likely.
Then how can you be at several places at the same time?
It's hard to explain. I don't really understand it myself. Let's assume that here and now in front of you, I'm the only one.
I could accept such an assumption. In the end, although the fact that Yulya had many faces was just one mystery among many others happening here, it was definitely not the main one. At least that's what I thought. Well, let's assume that, and what do you know about the world?
I can read and write, if that's what you mean.
She laughed. No, not exactly that. Do you know where this camp is located?
No.
Then maybe you know that I'm not from here, not from this time, not from this reality.
Well, I know, but not any details.
And if I ask you what year it is now?
I can't answer.
I took a deep breath and stared out the window.
In general, you can assume that there are some things that I know more than you, and some I know less.
So what should we do?
As I told you before, just wait.
Wait, and what are we gonna do?
What do you want to do?
I don't know, but forgive me, I don't feel like climbing trees.
Okay, then maybe you'll tell me something about yourself.
Not now.
As you wish. So what then?
I don't know, maybe just sit and wait, I don't mind.
But that's so boring.
Like, the concept of what's going on right now is interesting, but the dialogue between the two is not so much, because a lot of it is I don't know, or repeated question, and I just want to be done already. I don't see any alternatives.
So let's go, come on.
She thought for a while. I looked keenly at Yulya. Looks like she really finds everything happening here amusing. Moreover, the current situation doesn't seem strange to her. According to her, there's nothing unusual about it. You know, everything that's happening is not quite normal to me. I don't even understand why I'm not currently hiding somewhere under my bed, trembling at every sound.
It turns out you're brave.
I said nothing but merely smiled.
I've got an idea.
I looked at her with interest.
No, I forgot it again.
Yulya scratched her cat ears.
Oh, I just remembered. Let's go swimming.
Now I stared at her in disbelief. Maybe it'd be better to go to sleep.
Oh, come on,
she pouted. Indeed, the day had been hot and I was soaked with sweat. It's much easier to fall asleep in this heat when you're clean. Okay, let's go. A few minutes later, we were at the beach. I lazily sprawled on the sand and looked at the river. I immediately felt completely exhausted. You know, I don't actually like swimming.
Meaning you don't know how to swim?
Yulya sat next to me. Well, it's not that I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The pioneer's fine, but how could the whole town disappear?
I told you before, I don't know.
Let's go swimming. I don't want to. I'd never like to reveal that I'm a lousy swimmer. You said you wanted to be clean. Just go in the water. You don't even have to swim.
Oh, come on, stop it. You can splash in water near the shore.
Okay. Wait, I'll go get my swimming trunks. But Yulya seemed to not hear me and started to undress.
What?
Are you going to swim like that?
Yeah? Anything wrong with that?
I turned away at at the right time. Aren't you shy? I tried to speak as calmly as possible, but the reason I didn't look at her was because my face was burning rather than out of politeness. She's a cat girl who's been living in the mines and the forests for ages. Think she cares? Shy? About who? You? She laughed. You know what? I turned around. Yulya was already in the water up to her neck. Come here. I decided that nothing bad would happen if I stayed in my underwear. I undressed and entered the water. Ugh, it's cold. Move around and you'll get warm like me. She started to jump and wave her hands in the water. I still felt awkward. You've gone red, Yulya said excitedly. Of course I am. Next to me there's a naked girl, or at least a female humanoid. And that's enough. My rage and hormones. I turned around and at that moment I felt Yulya hug me. Is this also a part of your program? I understood that I was saying complete nonsense, but nothing more meaningful was coming to my head. What? Well, it's, Suddenly I realized that I was being hugged from behind by a naked, omnipotent being which is able to exist in multiple realities simultaneously. She's not omnipotent! We've already talked about this. She doesn't know Jack! My brain was instantly overloaded by errors about the lack of system resources. Here it is, a blue screen of death. My legs buckled and I started to go under the water. Yulya held me up. There's no need to drown yourself. She was still hugging me. It felt even stronger. What are you going to do? Swim, obviously. So that means you're not suggesting anything? I tried to say it with a calm expression, but it did not turn out very well. Like what, for example? Well, even though you don't remember much, you essentially behave quite reasonably. So you should understand. Well, I don't know. Just say it out straight, Semyon. You want to get down and dirty in the water, she said slyly. Suddenly felt something twisting around my thighs. I tried to pull myself away, but Yulya held me tight. Also, motion physics in the water are very different from on land. It's just my tail. A tail. Don't you find it strange that you have it at all? What, you don't like my tail? If you step on my tail, then you're gonna get hurt. How am I supposed to step on your tail right now? We're in the water. Wait a minute. I paused for a moment, trying to phrase the thought I just had. Yeah, well, there's a fly in my room. So you've seen that series too? What series? The one you just quoted. It's just... She suddenly stopped and thought. Don't people say that? Some kind of saying? So you don't know where it's from? No, and who cares? It's a reference from a series? I just thought it's just a regular thing to say. No, and who cares? Yulya laughed. Her tail continued to probe my body. Could it be that Yulya still had memories about her time before the camp? Maybe they're hidden somewhere or suppressed. What if Yulya's just you, but as a girl? As a cat girl, Semyon? That's weird. You shouldn't. Considering that you're the only one who really exists, and there's multiples of you, who knows, maybe something weird happened, and one of you became a cat girl. Semyon, don't do it. She got that quote somehow. Of course, maybe she heard it from one of the pioneers. But isn't it too early for that show to even exist? The only conclusion is that Yulya seems to be a prisoner in this camp, the same as I. Just a more mysterious one. What happened next happened by itself. Even if what I was going to do is dangerous, in the end I'm a red-blooded man. At that moment, Yulya was not an all-powerful being to me. I was holding an ordinary girl in my arms, minus ears and tail. Super ordinary. Might be you as a girl. I brought the sleeping Yulya to my cabin. She was surprisingly light. I put her on a bed, collapsed beside her, and closed my eyes. But all my attempts to get to sleep failed. I felt a terrible thirst. Quietly, so as not to wake up Yulya, I got out of bed, pulled on my shorts, and went outside. On the way to the washstands, I thought about everything that happened. I didn't care about whether it was right or not. No, that wasn't the main issue. I decided that I just didn't have any other choice in that situation. More important are the possible consequences. Even if Yulya was a little different from me, we could say she was closer to who or what was behind all this. Just because she knows more than me. Which means... However, blindly assuming or drawing conclusions about anything is a difficult task in this camp. I was sure of that by now. I quenched my thirst and washed myself. I was going back to the camp leader's cabin, whistling a piece of Peer Gynt by Grieg, when somebody called out to me. "How did you?" I jumped on the spot, turned and saw the silhouette of that pioneer. There was no chance of seeing his face clearly in this darkness. "So it's you again." "Who, me? Not in the sense that I'm the one that you've already seen, but in the sense of who, in fact, I am." "What?" "I don't understand." I remember that Yulya told me that he can't do any physical harm, and I calmed down a bit. "Oh, whatever. Besides, I saw how you were getting it on back there." "I was watching from afar. It's the only entertainment I got." That gave me the heebie-jeebies. No matter how fantastic a situation is, it's always frustrating when you're caught doing something so intimate. Didn't anyone ever tell you that it's not nice to spy on people? "You're upset." "No, why would I be?" I snorted and half turned towards him, trying in vain to see his face. "And what has the cat-eared one told you?" "She has a name." I felt a strong attachment to Yulya, so I didn't hesitate to stand up for her. "A name? And what is it? An almighty observer, the double-faced Janus?" "Yulya." I said it a bit uncertainly. "Yulya?" He started laughing like a horse on meth. "And who gave it to her? You, probably?" "Fine, tell me what you want and get lost." Okay, Your Majesty, just don't be angry." He bowed awkwardly. The sight was so grotesque that I even shuddered. "And what has the so-called Yulya told you?" I decided there was no point in hiding the information I'd found out recently. She told me that there are many other camps, that you're the same as me, and that after 7 days we leave and never come back. It was disgusting for me to be in the same boat as him, but a fact was still a fact. "Yeah, that's about right. And what did she tell you about herself?" "Do you think it's any of your business? Besides, surely you know everything without me." "Yeah, I know something. I've dealt with her before." "You're not the only one who got to clap them cheeks." His tone was so disgusting that I didn't even want to continue this conversation. "Well, if you have nothing more to do..." "No, wait a minute. I haven't finished yet." "Now what?" "Want me to tell you what she's hiding from you?" "Go on." I wasn't sure that Yulya had no secrets from me, but in my situation, any information could be useful. "Never come back?" "No, they do come back, and you come back. At least you did before." "I don't understand." "I did tell you that you had already been here, so after 7 days it doesn't matter whether you leave on a bus or fall asleep in the forest. You'll find yourself sitting in the 410 again." "And how?" "She told you that we just disappear, right?" I didn't answer. "Well, I can't be sure she's lying. Maybe she just doesn't know everything. But what I said is true. You and I were here many times. Of course I've been here more times, but that doesn't matter." "Okay, then why don't I remember anything?" "You'll remember them all sometime later. That's what happened to me." "And you're telling me that there's no escape from here?" "Yeah, I am. I remember you told me that what happened today had never happened before, right?" "True. This is the first time." "And how can you explain that?" "I won't. You're hoping that something will change. No way it will." "We'll see about that." I decisively turned and walked away. To my surprise, the pioneer did not even try to stop me. I returned to the cabin and found Yulya carefully combing her tail. "You're talking to him again." "How do you know?" For a moment I had doubts. "Just guessed. He's supposed to appear when you're alone." "Yeah." "And?" "He told me that nobody disappears, that we come back." Yulya didn't answer anything. "Is that so?" "To tell you the truth, I don't know." I sat on the bed beside her and began to think. I don't know how long we were sitting there, but soon I started to fall asleep. "Let's go watch the stars." "Let's go." I wanted to sleep badly, but at the same time I felt a sense of incompleteness, and was hoping fresh air would clear my thoughts. A few minutes later we were at the square. I sat on the bench and Yulya put her head on my lap and stared at the sky. "Isn't it beautiful?" "It is." We sat in silence for quite a long time. "So what will happen tomorrow?" "What do you mean?" "Well, tomorrow's the 7th day, so it's time to leave." "Do you want to leave?" Suddenly I was struck by a realization. I've had this question many times before. According to you and him, even if I don't want to, I must. "So let's leave." She smiled. "Will you come with me?" "Of course I will. After all this, you must definitely marry me." "I don't know of a single administration that would register marriages with cat girls." "So we'll look for one." "Okay, seriously though, what will happen tomorrow?" "In the evening the bus will come." "You sure about that?" "Absolutely sure. It always comes." And we'll take it." You know, if a dude could marry his DS of his digital waifu, then I'm sure you can find somebody who would marry you to this not quite a cat and not quite a girl. "And then?" "Why are you asking all these stupid questions?" Yulya protested. "How should I know?" "Well, make a guess." "And we'll go back to your world." "That would be..." I stopped. "We'll see." I sighed. "What about you and your many selves?" I only look like this here, right? Over there, I'll just be regular me." "Sure, with cat ears and a tail." Yulya hit me painfully in the ribs. "Hey, I'm just joking." "Maybe without a tail," she said sadly. No, I like it. Don't think anything like that. Semyon's a furry." She said nothing, just closed her eyes. "And what's it like over there?" "It's different. That's the best way I can put it. Some things are better, some are worse. We've got internet." I chuckled. "I'll show you all of my cat girl waifus, and this is why I accept you so easily."
"And what would I do there?"
"Well, I don't know. Let's solve the problems as they come."
"All right."
We sat there for a long time talking about all sorts of foolish things. Finally, Yulya said,
"Let's go to sleep."
"Yes, good timing, finally." I felt a wave of terrible fatigue.
"Tomorrow is time to pack our things."
But I have nothing to pack.
"How about that? He has nothing to pack. But you know what? I have a whole bunch of rats that I've stored away for the winter, and I need to go grab them."
For example, I giggled good-naturedly. I just can't imagine what she was planning to take.
"What about my supplies for the winter? Apples, nuts, mushrooms?"
"Do you really think you'll need all that?"
"Of course."
She jumped up and looked at me sternly.
"I'm going to sleep, and you can do whatever you want."
With these words, Yulya marched briskly toward the camp leader's cabin. "Hey, I didn't..." I rushed after her. After entering the cabin, Yulya immediately undressed, snuck into bed, and pulled a blanket over her head. I didn't mean anything like that. If you want to take your stores, let's take them. In the end, they could be useful for us, especially in my situation, where anything could happen. I was just joking. She peeked out from under the blanket and stuck out her tongue. And now sleep, commanded Yulya. I didn't mind it, so I undressed, lay down beside her, and we fell asleep holding each other. I had a strange dream. Now, of course, being here in this camp was extremely strange by itself, incomparable with any normal nighttime dreams. However, in this dream, everything seemed so real but when I woke up, I couldn't remember a thing. There were only vague images of a long driveway, an old rusted bus, the rickety gates of the camp, collapsed statues of pioneers, and an abandoned square. I ran through Semyon back and forth as if trying to find someone, but exactly who remained a mystery to me. When I woke up, the sun was already setting. A bright sunbeam was lighting up the dust drifting in the silence of the room and painting it with all colors of the rainbow. Reflections on the glass took on different outlines. Look for one angle and it's just a spot of sunlight, look for another and it's a pirate waving his cutlass. I stretched lazily and yawned. Turning to the other side, I saw Yulya sleeping peacefully next to me. "Good morning," said Yulya without opening her eyes. "It's daytime already." "Morning starts when you wake up." "You're talking just the same way I did before." "So now you've changed your mind?" "Well, I don't know. During the last week I got used to getting up in the morning." That was not entirely true because I didn't always wake up with the sunrise and regularly miss the lineups. "You want to say that you've changed?" She giggled. "I think any man in my position would change at least a little." It seemed quite natural to me. "Yes, perhaps I won't argue." A long silence followed. That kind of silence where you're not tortured by the need to say something just to break the oppressive awkwardness. The silence could say more than any words. "Well, we're leaving today?" I asked finally. "I think so." "You think? You mean you're not even sure?" "Not completely. This is happening for the first time." "You mean the disappearance of the pioneers?" "Not just that." She got out of bed and started to dress. I looked at her, mesmerized, unable to look away. "What are you looking at? Get up, it's time to pack." "You mean your berries and mushrooms?" "Of course." Yulya stood, arms akimbo, and looked at me resentfully. "Do you want all my supplies to be gone?" "Of course I don't. To tell the truth, I didn't really give a damn about them. To be precise, I just don't see the point in stocking food for a one-way journey. At least without a return ticket for sure." A few minutes later, we were standing in the same forest glade where the day before Yulya had been sprinkling mushrooms with sugar. She went behind a tree, threw aside the leaves, and pulled out a heavy sack. "All this isn't all. This is just what's necessary." I couldn't put what I planned to say in a nice way, so I decided to say nothing. The sack was filled with mushrooms, berries, apples, nuts, all mixed up. I immediately had serious doubts about the fitness for human consumption of this assorted lot. "Take it," said Yulya, pointing at a sack with an easy smile. "Well, I hope you understand I won't be able to." No, you're strong. Look how massive you are." She used her hands to indicate the difference in our heights. I tried to lift the sack. It weighed at least 30 kilos. "Look, let's only take some of it. We won't be able to eat all this anyway." I was trying to cheat. "Why not? Winters are long in these lands." "How would you know that?" "I guessed." I tried to make the most painful grimace I could. "I can manage it to the square at most. Have mercy on me." Yulya thought a little. "Okay, then throw out the berries." What a great solution, get rid of the lightest stuff. However, I didn't object and just put my hand into the sack. Can't say it got any lighter, I said when I finished with the berries.
I don't want to hear it.
I sighed and sank helplessly to the ground next to the sack. How come none of these girls want to carry anything? Come on. You have arms. Use them. Then let's carry it in turns.
But it's heavy,
exclaimed Yulya. That's what I'm telling you.
I mean, it's heavy for me.
Then we're gonna get another sack and you can carry the light stuff. As if it's a light for me, I muttered under my breath, trying to make Yulya not hear it.
It is light for you.
Seems I should not underestimate her cat ears. Okay, let's come back here later. For now, it'll be nice to have something to eat.
Well, maybe.
She smiled and held out her hand to me. The canteen was filled with the smell of fried potatoes. Yulya flittered around me, watching me cook. To tell the truth, I never found any special pleasure in doing this. I always wanted to start eating immediately without waiting for all the ingredients to be prepared, the water to boil, the dumplings to float up. That's why I'm usually fine with eating sandwiches or fast food. You know what? I can understand that. I like cooking, but I also am very impatient. And I hate waiting. So I can cook the fast stuff, but when it comes to anything that needs a longer preparation, it's just like, nope, no thanks. I'm good.
You're doing so well.
I told you there's nothing special to it.
But,
she tried to find words.
But you're doing well anyway.
I'm glad you like it.
Of course I like it.
It's because I'm eating cooked food, and not just mushrooms that I picked straight out the ground. Judging by the way Yulya was demolishing the potatoes, she actually enjoyed my simple culinary creation.
Are you worried?
Chew first, then speak.
What a lout.
Yeah, you can't say anything, Semyon. You eat like a pig. You must behave in polite society.
And what kind of society are we in here?
Yulya spread her hands to the sides and laughed. That was true, the canteen was empty. Just like the whole camp. Well, I'm getting you prepared for when we get to the city. What do you think? Where are they all gone to? Where are they all gone to?
How should I know?
She picked up the last piece with her fork and deftly popped it into her mouth.
You miss them?
Sort of.
What about me? I'm better than any stray dog.
I like dogs better. Another quote. I didn't pay any special attention to it this time. Like, I can pick up on some of these references that Semyon makes, but, like, I can't pick up on all of them. And so it just throws me off. Like, what are you trying to reference? I'm confused. Given that you're some kind of cat, you definitely got your quotes right.
Are you feeling lonely?
Well, I'm not alone here.
Just the two of us.
But if what had happened didn't happen, we maybe... I stopped for a moment. So in other realities, you and me weren't so... close? Yulya finished for me. Yeah.
No.
It's strange.
Why?
Well, because there's a lot of camps, as you say, and according to the theory of probability, which means that everything that happened within the last 2 days is really something exceptional.
You said that as if it's bad.
Of course not. I felt the blood rush to my head. Just strange. There's lots of things here. That's why I use that word so often. Anyway, you're just nitpicking.
Who, me? Never.
She laughed. No, you're seriously nitpicking, especially when it comes to words.
Why would I do that?
I can't even imagine. You know better. Seems like for any of my arguments, she already had an answer prepared as if she knew in advance what I'll say. Forget it, so let's go.
Where?
I realize that saying this was a big mistake. Now she'll definitely drag me back to that sack. Well, there's enough time till the bus arrives so we could...
Oh, right, the supplies.
I just scratched my chin and followed her. Epic fail.
Carrying nearly 25 kilos is not easy, even for a short distance. I stopped every 50 meters to rest. Yulya hurried and encouraged me, but it was just making things worse. I don't know if I deserved a medal in some strange sack of cat girl supply short distance carrying event, but about an hour later the sack was transported to the bus stop. I collapsed beside it, exhausted. That's it. You're such a hero. See, nothing to be afraid of. My whole body ached, my muscles burned, and rivers of sweat flowed from my forehead, stinging my eyes. I don't know what reward I was owed for this, but this competition was more than the Olympics for mentally...
Excuse me, Semyon. What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Look, the bus is coming. What? I jumped up. My fatigue vanished in an instant. Something could indeed be seen in the distance. I narrowed my eyes and saw the Icarus. But why? Yulya told me it would arrive closer to the night. Moreover, I've expected the Leah's bus. Soon the bus stopped in front of us and the door opened, inviting us in. The driver's seat was empty, but I was not really surprised. Much stranger things had happened here. Coming? Yulya easily jumped onto the first step and gestured for me to follow her. Don't you think it's weird that buses go by themselves? Well, she thought about that. Of course it's strange, but you said yourself that there's plenty strange things here. Yeah, she's right on that one. Anyway, I had no choice. In either case, whether I stay or whether I go on the bus, I'm not sure about what will come next. But in case of the second choice, I had at least an illusory hope of escaping from this camp. I sighed and with one last effort lifted the sack and got onto the bus. We drove for about an hour. Yulya was constantly chattering about something, but I wasn't listening. I carefully studied the passing landscapes through the window. Forests, fields, rivers, forests, fields, absolutely nothing suspicious. On the one hand, this gave me some hope, but on the other, it was a sign that in the end nothing will change, because in this world it seems everything is slow and measured, following its well-established rules. That's how it was at least a few days ago. Although maybe I shouldn't be drawing conclusions after having been there only a week. Well, now I'm sure everything will be fine. I looked at her carefully. Cat ears, a long tail that moved rhythmically back and forth, slightly enlarged fangs. Yulya seemed like a character from a fairy tale. Or like one of my anime waifus. We can decide what to do with her in the real world later. We could just say she's constantly cosplaying. I mean, it'll make her a little weird, but covers up the issue. I was turning into one big throbbing vein, ready to burst at any moment. I was waiting for how this will end. The result could be anything. For me, it was important not to go crazy ahead of time. My nerves were stretched to the limit, and I tried not to think about anything. But it was impossible to distract myself. Hey, are you even listening? Huh? No, sorry, I was in deep thought. Well, as always, she pouted. Now is such a big moment, you know. We can get out of this camp, so it's a very important moment for me. Well, it's important for me too, but I'm not worried. You simply can't see this in context. What do you mean? Well, of course you're not worried. You didn't really have much to worry about. You just lived your life in the forest. Before I lived in a different world, the real one as it seems, so I have something to compare this camp to. And you, we can say, were born here. No, I wasn't. How do you know? I just know. I know that. I'm actually you, but a cat girl. I'm not gonna give that up. The bus peacefully bounced over the bumps, shaking me more and more. The steering wheel was turning on its own, and I soon stopped noticing the absence of a driver. There is somebody driving, it's just a ghost. My eyes began to close and I dozed off.
Who do you think put all those things on that upper dashboardy area? Some girl bent over me. She was gently whispering something in my ear, so tenderly that... I felt a strong blow on the head. Hey, don't sleep. Am I disturbing you? I asked in annoyance, rubbing the bruised place. You're not listening to me. If we escape from here, we'll have lots of time for conversation. If we don't escape, then we'll have even more time. I tried to smile, but just thinking that we won't ever leave this camp frightened me a lot, so I just gave a stupid grin. It's like being lost on a deserted island. It's better if we don't escape, because in your world, I don't know what to expect there, but you won't pay any attention to me at all. I will, I promise. I hugged her sincerely. Just like a cat. Pay attention to me! Really, truly? Really, truly. Yulya leaned against me. And you'll listen to me? Of course. And you'll always agree with me? Sure. No. She pulled away and looked into my eyes. Well then, I forgive you. A loud laugh filled the bus cabin. But be careful. Don't you forget about that, or try to deceive me. Want to sign a contract? A marriage contract? I don't have the property for that anyway. But I do. Yulya pointed at the bag lying in the aisle. Well then, I tried to remember what I'd bought with my money. Here. I took out my mobile phone out of my pocket. But this time it was already out of charge. What's that? Yulya asked curiously, taking the mobile. A very useful thing in my world. You can communicate with people at a distance. Wow, that's really cool. Excellent, that will do. She put the mobile on the seat. Deal then. My supplies from the winter are from me, and from you is that thing. Okay, deal. Alright, now we're husband and wife. She smiled slyly. Hey, wait. I suddenly remembered that all this conversation had started with a marriage contract. Anyway, without an official registration. When we get to your world, we'll register our marriage. A man without a wife is like a kitchen without a knife. If we get there, of course. Yulya said nothing but just stared straight forward with her eyes wide open. Oh, it's spooky, dude. I followed her gaze and realized that the bus was full of people. I told you there were ghosts! All of them were wearing pioneer uniforms and they all looked exactly like that pioneer. Nobody said a single word, they just looked silently in my direction. I couldn't see their faces. Clothes, statures, yes, but their faces were shrouded in shadows that seemed to appear from nowhere. It was as if instead of the heads that normal people have, they had many black holes. Ew. I started to shiver and my back broke out in goosebumps. Yulya squeezed my hand. With an enormous effort, I forced myself to look at her. She was very scared too. If I was alone at that moment, I would have probably fainted, but right now I was responsible for more than only my own life. Who are you? I gritted out with difficulty. The pioneers maintained the terrifying silence. It became hard to breathe. I was gasping for breath, but my brain refused to work on low oxygen and I lost consciousness for a moment. Who are you? What do you want? I heard Yulya shout just as I regained my senses. The pioneer stood up from the first seat and walked toward us. Hey, Semyon. We've decided to go back home too. A chorus of voices filled the bus. We'll keep you company. I didn't know what to say. This was the strangest situation I had yet experienced in the camp. Neither Yulya, nor the city, nor the disappearance of the pioneers, nor the strange person standing before me were comparable with this. I asked you a question. Seemed like Yulya was still able to speak clearly. Not a surprise. In the end, she was still, you could say, an extraordinary being. I repeat, we are just going home. His voice sounded frantic. Are we bothering you?
Bothering.
What do you want from us? Nothing at all.
Nothing.
I don't believe you. I know there's a reason for you to be doing all this. It's just your imagination, animal. Maybe I am an animal, but what are you? A ghost? A shadow? Maybe. Ghosts have their rights too. You have the right to get the hell out of here. Yulya shouted so loud that my ears rang, but neither the pioneer nor his companions reacted. I guess we'll stay, he said maliciously. But how did you manage this and all of the others? At last I gathered the strength to speak. It's simple, my dear friend. Collective mind. Heard about it? And so? Every one of us want to wish you luck simultaneously, that's all. Luck. In person, I would say. That's the reason we're here. But what will happen next? Honestly, I have no idea. Get out. Yulya shouted again. Be cool, you. Settle down. He brings out a spray bottle and starts spraying her with water. Sit. Bad. You see, he addressed me again. I don't want to hide anything from you. You have a good chance to get out of here. I don't exactly know why, but your actions broke the cycle. Cycles, to be precise. All are cycles. And there's a chance that we won't have to leave the camp every 7 days and return back on the 8th. Waking up in this bus. Then don't return, just die. It's not that simple. And why shouldn't we have a sense of self-preservation? We should, right? He asked the pioneers.
Should.
I heard their response. So we decided to keep you company. Now, either we'll all get out of here together, or we'll all vanish forever together, or start another cycle. All 3 options suits us. And what if we die because of you? Well, you won't die alone. We'll die with honor.
Honor.
Or do you think that our lives... He laughed. Well, what we call lives.
Lives.
Are they not as important as yours? Yulya didn't know how to answer. I don't think that all of us are here. In fact, many more of us didn't fit in, but there were enough tickets for everyone. You! Yulya hissed. It's too late. I suggest you calm down and enjoy the flight. Stewardesses will offer you food and drinks in a couple of minutes. He grinned and went back to his place. Yulya jumped up, but I stopped her. Let me go. I'll take him down. No need. What can you do to him? What good will it do? We're technically outnumbered. She looked at me in surprise but sat down. So what? Are you suggesting we don't do anything and just wait? What can we do? I don't know, but we shouldn't be just sitting. I've learned one thing for sure in this camp. Very little is up to me. Actually, nothing at all, especially now, especially here. I have not the slightest idea what to do to drive them out of here, but even if I knew, I'm sure that nothing would change, nothing would affect the final outcome. You may be right, Yulya said in a sad voice. We can only wait then. It won't take long. She put her head on my shoulder. We had been going for such a long time it seemed like an eternity. The sun had set and the night fell. Seconds lasted for hours, minutes for years. The pioneers remained dead silent, and even that one, the arrogant one, didn't try to start a conversation. The silence was louder than any shouts. A quiet clap would be enough to make my eardrums explode. Me and Yulya stayed silent too. Everything that had been said today, there was no words left. I felt totally empty. My head was as heavy as lead, and it seemed that I was already dead. But God and the devil had just forgotten about me, so I would have to spend the rest of eternity alone with a silent mass of pioneers. Are they really my colleagues in misfortune? Did they really come to this camp too, spend a week here and then leave? And then do it all over again? Maybe it would be the same for me, as that pioneer said. Anything is possible. Anything is possible now. I heard quiet snoring from Yulya. She'd fallen asleep. All that stress must have been too much for her. Or maybe she used up all her energy shouting. In any case, it's better to face the end while sleeping. Now I was absolutely certain that this was the end. It's stupid to cling to hope while standing on the edge of the cliffs, surrounded by countless enemies. And even if there was the smallest chance of rescue, you wouldn't really think about it. Maybe it shouldn't be this way and someone else would have more optimism in my place. I just had to take that last step. Why though? These are not stairs but an escalator. It will get me to the finish in any case. I closed my eyes and my consciousness left me at once. I fell asleep. I don't know whether it would last for an hour or for eternity. Emptiness is not the best place for thoughts. When there is nothing, the essence of the normal world disappears. In the end, thoughts are a part of it too, just an immaterial one. It is difficult to imagine where existence ends. A person is not supposed to figure it out. Naked. I regained consciousness in complete darkness. To be precise, I regained the ability to perceive myself as a person. There was nothing else, neither around nor inside me. It was like I ceased to exist, was erased from the universe, but I wasn't dead. No. It was totally different, as if I had moved from three-dimensional space to one-dimensional. The whole world compressed to the size of one dot. The dot was me, was everything. I was everything and at the same time was nothing. However, my consciousness, my memories, my soul went into that tiny patch too. I wasn't afraid. Maybe because there was no need, or maybe because I still couldn't understand what was happening. All sense of time was lost here. There was simply no such term here. That's why it was impossible to tell how long I had been in that emptiness. Finally, after an hour or a year, I started to hear a quiet voice. I couldn't make out the words, but I was the one it spoke to. Actually, there was no one else. Semyon. Semyon. Yes? I replied as if answering a phone. Nice to meet you. The voice sounded very close. We've known each other for a long time, though. Who are you? I am you. Oops. Did I die? No, nothing like that. The voice sounded calm, as if speaking to an old friend. What happened to me? You have reached the end of your path. What path? You have managed to leave the camp. Sort of, because I still gotta go do that harem ending. Camp. Yes, I remember. The Sovyetnok pioneer camp. Suddenly I remembered the last 7 days. I remembered how I was leaving there together with Yulya. Where is... Yulya? Yeah. She's right here. I looked around, but there was only emptiness around. I don't see her. You shouldn't see. You should feel. I wasn't tense at all, as if I was recovering from anesthesia. I don't feel anything. You just have to remember. After these words, thousands of pictures, images, smells, thoughts reappeared in my mind. The camp. I was there for real. With Slavia, with Lena, Alyssa, Ulyana, Masha, and then... But how? I clearly remember that I left it and came back to the real world. And then I met Slavia at a bus stop. No, I met Ulyana at the university. No, I met Alyssa at a concert. But I had lived with Lena for so many years. No, I had a completely different life with Masha. How is all that possible? I remembered events of almost five lifespans in the smallest of details. But everything happened simultaneously, and I'm sure that it was all real. How? Yes, all of it really happened to you. But how? You left the camp, not just once. Then you lived your life. Then you came back and left again. So was it like I died and was revived? No. You can think that it all happened simultaneously. I don't understand. You don't need to. And who were those other pioneers? They are you too. That's whack. Oh, are we talking about the ones that are actually him? Because I was thinking like everyone else that was at the camp. The other sides of you. I don't understand. Or is that, or am I right? That's exactly what it is. Ooh, that's weird. Semyon, you slept with yourself. Every person is an endless universe. His own actions determine how his life will proceed. You remember those 5 times because those were times you took choices that led you out of the camp. Your other replicas acted differently somewhere. That's it. It's all that simple. For me, it wasn't that simple. And what is this camp? You can consider it a testing ground. And who are you? I'm you, but from a long time after. Not time as you see it. I am beyond and above all of you. You can consider me the prime Semyon. I am the prime life form. So you're the reason for all this? That's not exactly true. Everything did happen according to my will, but I can control these events. But why? Are you against it? I lost myself in thought, at least as lost as was possible in such an obscure state as mine. I don't know. If you were given an option now, when you know and remember everything, would you really decide to take it back to the start and just forget everything? I don't know. I wasn't ready to answer such a difficult question. Anyway, where is Yulya? She's right here. Where? Inside of you. And how's that? Yulya is your inner world, your consciousness, which had gained a form. You did! Dude, you slept with yourself. You slept with a personification of yourself. I couldn't comprehend his words. You don't need to try to understand, I already said. But I felt that I missed her. Don't be afraid. She will always be with you in your heart. I don't think I wanted this exact union just yesterday. The hardest thing is to make inner peace, not peace with an enemy. And you have done it. If you want to love her, you have to learn how to love yourself. Oh my god. What the frick? Well, that's enough for you. It's time for me to leave. Wait, what will happen to me? You'll go back. I already didn't understand what was real and what was not, or how many realities there are. Where to? It depends only on you. I don't understand. You have remembered all possible variations of events now. He paused for a long time, and I didn't dare to say anything just so I wouldn't accidentally interrupt him. So, you have at least 5 options. Will I remember all this? That's up to you to decide. A trace of emotion appeared in his voice for a moment, maybe joy or maybe dissatisfaction. Farewell. But I could feel that the voice will never speak to me again. Time passed. I tried to decide what to do next. If everything is as he said, then I just have to wish. By the time I had completely calmed down and you could even say cheered up a bit, I was totally sure that I had got out of that enchanted camp. Moreover, a bright future awaited me. I didn't know it. I remembered it. But what should I choose? I closed my eyes and clearly imagined Slavia smiling at me. She was always willing to help me and never scolded me for anything. It is always calm and safe being with her, and that meeting at the bus stop. I guess I never thought about being with her in real life, but that would be amazing, I'm sure.
Throughout so many years, Lena had grown truly precious to me. I actually remembered all that time spent with her. I remembered our kids, remembered times of joy and sorrow, remembered everything. It's hard to reject all that.
If I had a choice, I'd probably go Lena's route just because there's more feeling to it. Like, you had kids and everything, dude.
Or Alyssa dearly hugging her guitar. It's never boring with her. Maybe that's the life I always dreamed of, simply laid back and fun. Maybe that's the girl I wished for, a loyal tomboy. Alyssa's image in my thoughts smiled slyly. The grown-up Oliana seemed like a good option too. Of course, back in the camp I didn't treat her as a woman, but now, obviously she's got her cons, but at the same time there was a sense of magic in her, something attractive. And of course Miku, Masha from that other life. She was truly precious to me. Maybe back there the camp is just a small episode, and I might be a completely different person for myself in all the other paths. But that's for the best. New opportunities, possibilities, and the person I love, a person who I seemingly knew my entire life.
Oh, you know what? Masha's also an option, but like, you know, back to the whole, he had an entire family with Lena, and that kind of comes off more, it gives off more feeling. Like, I know he had sort of a life with Masha, but like, it didn't really feel that way. And I mean, I still appreciate her route being as crazy as it was, but I don't think anything's ever gonna beat Lena's route.
But it is sad that I will never see Yulya again. You certainly will. Her voice sounded in my head. What? Where are you? I'm right here, like he said.
You knew?
No, I understood it only when we came here.
Are you okay with it? Won't you miss me?
Of course not. I will always be with you.
Semyon's soulmate, or like, Semyon's love of his life is just himself. It's so narcissistic. He was already selfish as it was, and now we're just gonna throw on the narcissism.
Do you remember your promise?
What promise?
That you will always be with me?
Yeah.
Don't ever think to break it. I'll be watching you. I don't know if I will ever speak to her like that again. Maybe one could simply go nuts from that, but right now I was happy. Alright, I won't forget. Then you just have to make a choice. I felt Yulya disappear, vanishing in the labyrinth of my mind. Well, it's time. I closed my eyes tight and... My eyes were struck by the bright sunlight. Nothing surprising about that. It's summer after all. It's that strange dream again. Why did I start seeing it so often recently? Maybe there's a reason. Still, why? A pioneer camp, some girls, a camp leader. I had never been to that camp. Maybe you just don't remember? Very funny. But what if? Trust me, I clearly remember everything that has happened to me since I was 3 years old. And before that I was probably at an unconscious age. Even if that is true, all of this is not accidental. Why is it not accidental? There are people who see a black cat in their dreams every night and nothing happens. Did you just make that up? I haven't made up anything, I read about it recently. A black cat is one thing, such a detailed dream is something else. I don't see much difference. Okay, then what would you say about that voice? What voice? Don't play the fool. Wasn't planning to. Which told you to make a choice? Well, a voice, so what? There was a reason. But I don't remember anything else, the dream ends there. Maybe you forgot it when you wake up? When you woke up? Maybe, but what? That means that you actually made a choice. I don't even remember the options. Were there any? There should have been. You don't even try to be serious about the important things as always. Oh my god, it's so important.
There's no point in talking to you. Recently, I started to notice that I have something like a split personality. An inner monologue is certainly a normal phenomenon for any person, but when it turns into a dialogue, well, it is still a long way from being a clinical case because I talk to myself and add another personality inside my mind. Maybe with my own subconscious. However, that is not important. What the heck? No one said this was a thing I had to worry about. Now I gotta go look. I'm a little confused, but I'm just gonna head down the list. I turned over to the other side. The bright sun still shined in my eyes. Good morning. Good morning. Why was there... Oh, is that his inner voice talking? Good morning, I replied. Choice. Do I even have a choice? Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its canvas, synopsis, contents, key moments, prologue, and epilogue. And there is no book that rereading it would not reveal new details you hadn't noticed before. But every book has a last page, and after turning it over, we put the book on the shelf. Just to open a new one tomorrow. I turned over to the other side. The bright sun still shined in my eyes. Good morning. Okay, so I think each one of these is just a different, picture that shows them, and they say good morning to each other, and that's about it. So whoa, it's Alyssa. And then we got Lena. Uliana was the least appealing one of everyone here. And that's saying something, because Lena's out here waving a knife around. And Yulya is just Semyon's subconscious. His inner world or something. Yulya was just the cat girl brain part of Semyon's brain. That's it. And then, you know what? Gotta go on to the harem ending after this. So, I don't know if that's gonna be a separate video, but I'll save whatever thoughts I can remember for when we get through that. Alright, here we go into the harem ending. Damn that Sovyanok. There is no camp, no pioneers. And it really doesn't matter why I arrived there. My priority is to get out. Quickly. I'll go forward. I shrugged my shoulders, trying to express a minimum of interest. Yulya stared hard at me for some time, but then took a couple of steps forward, as if inviting me to follow her.
Well, are you going?
It seemed like for the first time today we got a bit closer to the city, like 100 meters or so. I was almost sure. Rude. I was almost sure that I would reach it, then I heard sounds of a car horn from behind. A bus, an Icarus, approached us fast, cutting through the night darkness with its lights. I stepped to the roadside. Yulya wasn't around. How does she manage to appear and disappear so unnoticeably? The bus slowly stopped next to me, the door opened, and Olga Dmitrievna stepped out. Semyon, why didn't you come back? I asked you to. I could ask you the same thing. You said a disaster had happened and now you... Okay. She suddenly softened. Get on the bus. What? And what about the city? That's where we're going. To see for ourselves. I hesitated. On one hand, it would be faster to go by bus. This road should lead to the city. On the other hand, the actions of the camp leader seemed strange. We're going in the same direction for the time being anyway. Okay. I agreed and got onto the bus. The Icarus went in the direction of the mysterious city, bouncing over the bumps. It was too slow in my opinion. I was so tired that my eyes started to close. And what about Yulya? Did I just leave her alone there? It looked like all the pioneers who had been in Sovyanok had got onto this bus. Maybe she wanted to say something to me. However, regardless of my struggle with Morpheus, my loud snoring sounded from the back seat within a couple of minutes. Everything is over now. Or not. I wanted to get out so badly and not to fall asleep. Is exhaustion the reason? Probably not. It was like I got a dose of sedative. People can't lose consciousness just like that, and I never suffered from narcolepsy. My thoughts flowed fast and calm like a wide river. Nothing interfered with their flight because I was sleeping. But at the same time, it felt like I was conscious. I'm about to open my eyes and... An old, chipped ceiling was looking down at me. A big crack divided it in two parts lengthwise, as if threatening to drop the upper floors on me. The computer fan sounded peaceful but strained. Thousands of specks of dust danced beautifully in the air. The wind wailed outside the window, licking the frost-covered glass and then flying away, twirling the snowflakes in its wake. The bright winter-cold moon looked down at my world, winking merrily. There was a ringing in my heavy head and I felt dizzy. A nasty aftertaste filled my mouth, as if I had eaten the contents of an ashtray and washed them down with a bottle of vodka. Once, when I was a kid, I accidentally drank from the orange soda can that was being used as an ashtray, and it was disgusting. Sometimes I could still taste the taste of orange soda and ashes. The realization didn't come at once. I was intending to go somewhere yesterday and I had a strange dream about summer, a camp, pioneers and their camp leader, about a strange cat girl in a distant city. I always forget the end of my dreams. Did I get to the city or not? Wait a minute. Was that really a dream? I spent nearly a week in that camp. However, the clock didn't agree with me. According to it, only about 12 hours had passed. I sat up on the bed and tried to remember. My feelings and emotions were really vivid, but the events of the dream were covered in fog. I remembered girls, their tears and smiles, remembered joy and sadness that we experienced together, but their faces and figures were concealed by shadow. And there was a mine of some sort, a bomb shelter, and then an island and a departure. And those damn grasshoppers which disturbed my sleep. And Slavia and Lena and Alyssa and Uliana and Masha and Yulya. But there was something else, something beyond the dream. My life after, seemingly a new life of existence. Yes, I had woken up many times, met those girls while being awake in this world, and then everything started all over again. This huge load of information just couldn't settle in my head. My memory was overflowing. I was forgetting something every second, and I couldn't understand what was real and what was not. All the events of the camp blended into one fantastic picture, a collage made from hundreds of works by hundreds of artists with different styles. Scraps of feelings, shadows of emotions, parts of memories. My life was ripped apart and clumsily sewn back together, and the result was something like that disfigured doll I had found in the old camp together with Uliana. Wait, or was it with Slavia? That night search for Shurik flew before my eyes with all its details, but I couldn't remember the face of a girl who was with me that time. The dream was getting more foggy with every moment. Will it be forgotten soon? I can't let that happen. I must remember. Even without details, even without faces, maybe even without names. I am sure it is not just a dream. It's something bigger, something very important to me. A voice started to ring in my head, and it was not mine, it was someone else's. It was quiet and distant at first, but it was growing louder with every moment, and soon I could almost make out the words. But it was probably just my imagination. One electrical brain impulse contained more thoughts than 1,000 books. I remember something in that dream I'd left unfinished. The city. No, I had reached the city. Yulya. From the depths of my consciousness, the image of a cat girl arose. She stared at me furiously and moved her ears in a funny way. Was it not a dream? Was the week I had spent in the camp not a dream? I walked around the room, looked out the window. The outside world was the same as yesterday. I was on the verge of going insane. The silence of my flat was disturbed by the ringing of the doorbell. Who might that be at such an hour? I didn't want to open the door at first. I was even afraid, but then thought that it was a good opportunity to check, was this a dream? People in the dream and in reality are totally different. I'll open the door and see. I made it to the entrance in 2 leaps, pulled on the door handle without even looking in the peephole, and... Oh my god! Everybody's super cute! The change for Uliana is, like, adorable. I was not a big fan of those pigtails. It's a big change from the, her college route. And then I almost didn't recognize Alyssa. For some reason I was starting to get her confused with Slavia. But that's probably because when I did her thumbnail, I drew her with short hair. But, like, the changes in the hairstyles make such a big difference. The girls stood in front of the door. The girls from the camp. But something had changed about them. I didn't remember every detail of their appearance in the dream. However, Slavia's hairdo and Uliana seemed taller. Taller? Talking about hair, right? Oh, I read it wrong. Okay. I didn't remember every detail of their appearance in the dream. However, Slavia's hairdo and Uliana seemed taller. A heavy silence hung in the air for a moment. I was petrified, my thoughts frozen, feeling no fear or any other emotions. Everything's not real! The girls seemed not to be surprised at all. Hi, Slavia said happily.
Why are you standing around like a dummy?
Exclaimed Uliana. How do you... I got words on my tongue, but couldn't find a sensible question out of them. I had so many things to ask at once.
Calm down, girls. You shouldn't shock a person like this.
I remembered Lena at once, remembered our life after the camp. And Slavia, that conversation at the night bus stop. And Uliana, our encounter at the university. And Alyssa at my concert. And even Masha in the other world. And how... Well, yes, to cut a long story short. Alyssa started to speak casually. Don't be so surprised. Did you think you were the only one? In Semyon. Yes, in Semyon. You weren't the only one.
We were there too.
But how did you all together here? The point is that every one of us had her own camp and you had yours. I mean, in ours you behaved differently. Slavia sounded awkward.
Really differently. You chased me with that cake, I barely managed to escape. It turned out that we remembered everything before you did and understood that they were not just dreams.
Wait, but how is it only one day has passed?
No, it's gone on much longer. At first, I thought so too, that only I had dreams about the camp. But then people from there started to become more real. You started to...
She sighed deeply.
And those horrors.
Seems like Lena will start crying any second now. Stop it already. I told you 1,000 times it wasn't him, it was another Semyon. What does that mean, another Semyon?
You see, there are many such dreams, many camps. Everyone had the personal one, and in each of them you behave in different ways. Somewhere it is like that.
She looked at Lena with sadness and went on.
Many of your incarnations told us about other camps and other versions of us, but we were just dolls there, playing present roles.
I'm not some doll. Uliana was outraged.
We got tired of that, of course. We started to look for an exit, and one time I got into Miku's world.
Don't call me that. But I remembered the camp was completely different there. We were shooting a movie and... What's the difference? In any case, the dream repeated. Well, then we managed to connect the rest of the worlds into one, for all 5 of us, and from there it was all in the bag. Alyssa smiled, and I recognized that smile.
The only thing left was to find you.
To find me? Why? I certainly wasn't against it. Everything fell into place at last. Semyon, pioneers, the camp leader, these girls. What about Yulya?
Who?
Yulya, the cat girl. Didn't you see her?
Yes, someone did mention something about that.
How could that? I still felt somewhat guilty about leaving Yulya.
That's how it is. Each of us had only one world of our own and you had many of them. And then we understood that only you were connected with reality.
How did you understand that?
The pioneer told us, I mean, the you who claimed to have been in that dream for a long time. Some weirdo probably gone completely bananas.
I couldn't get everything that they were saying straight in my mind. Okay, wait. I put all my thoughts together. Then that camp was in a dream? Everything has been going on for a long time? There were many camps which had me and you, but each of you had one and I had many? No, I don't understand.
That's about right. Stop sulking, you're so boring. It was a lot of fun. For example, I'd never visited a pioneer camp. You probably hadn't either.
But who was behind all this and why?
That's why we came, to find out.
But how did you find me? Suddenly I felt doubt and even fear. Uliana pinched me at once. Ouch!
Just in case you thought you were dreaming. It wasn't difficult.
Your copies could certainly be talkative if they wanted to.
Or if you forced them to.
Lena added quietly.
So, first we met in real life, and then we came to you. Greet your guests.
Unbelievable. My life turned upside down in the blink of an eye. Obviously, I didn't remember this dream, or dreams, as the girls said, in full detail, but I felt, too, that the camp was something bigger than that. It brought us together, at first there and now here. Only the question of Yulya still remained. But might I know the answer? I could just forget it, just like I forgot many other things. Okay, I hope you tell me everything in detail. Sure, that's what we're here for. Well, come in. Don't stand on the doorstep. Tea, coffee, dance. I added, trying to calm down and come to myself. I mean, from the reactions, at least Semyon is decent. Considering every time he's gone to sleep when we were at Sovyonok, he's always like pantsless or something, or completely, like, just down to the underwear. Lena's eyes glared. Alright, we'll save the dancing for later. Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its canvas, synopsis, content, key moments, prologues, and epilogues. And there is no book that rereading it would not reveal new details you hadn't noticed before. But every book has a last page, and after turning it over, we put the book on the shelf, just to open a new one tomorrow. Yay! We finished it! I think I really like the quote-unquote harem ending. The girls were super cute. Their changes of hairstyles and everything, like I said earlier, it's like a really big change from what it was before. And it's something that I would have expected a little more in their actual routes, but like seeing the harem ending and seeing that change is a bigger impact. Instead of seeing it beforehand and everything. I have to say though, surprisingly, and for whatever reason, Alyssa's change really drew the eye. I think it would have been because like it was a way bigger change. She looks more mature, and like you could probably see her as a secretary almost. Ulyana looks very more modern girl now, and it's fitting. It's kind of fitting for her personality because she's still like childish and stuff. And it fits the kind of cute, childish feeling, though. Even if she's a tomboy. Slavia's was a surprise because I really wasn't expecting her to take on, like, that sort of style. I can't really think of anything else to say that I haven't said before. Seeing as I can't remember what I wanted to say when I recorded the other stuff, I'll most definitely have things written in the... Wow, I don't remember how to... Oh, there we go. I'll most definitely have it written down in Afterthoughts like I usually do. And then, after this, I'll do Xenia's route, and I don't know what else, because I went to the mods page for this game, and everything seemed like it was all in Russian, and when I looked at this list, it just all had zeros next to it, like there wasn't anything. And the only one that I actually saw that looked like it had an English translation was Samantha's mod. But it's not completely done yet, and I would rather wait till that finishes. And I don't know when it's gonna finish, though, so there's that. I mean, if there is mods with an English translation, if there is mods I can actually do, with the English translation and everything, then feel free to tell me in the comment section. Otherwise, Xenia is probably going to be the last thing I'm going to do for this game. And then maybe if Samantha's one gets finished at some point, that will come around along the line, but I don't know. One last thing that I want to bring up is after I did Yulya's route, when I was looking to see like what the heck was with that last bit where it just changes who pops up on the bed, people were talking about how they like that ending and they wanted that to be the real ending or something, but because of everything that happened beforehand, it's like, nope, Semyon's still kind of trapped in a fantasy. And once again, feel bad for Semyon, considering that the Miku one also seemed like he was still trapped in a fantasy. I always see the real life being that sort of frosty dialogue box being the indicator, and that didn't show up. It was still the leaf one for him, so he ended up with 2 trapped in a fantasy endings. Sad Semyon is sad. I think personally, now that I've seen the harem route, which isn't really quite a harem route, but I guess we can pretend. It was sort of a like, sup, we found you, and it's kind of awkward. 'Cause, everything that's gone down. I feel, in my opinion, I really like that route, so I'm gonna pretend that that was the truest of the true routes. Semyon gets to be friends or lovers with a bunch of very cute girls. Though I still don't count Uliana, I'm sorry. I think that's about all I can recall off the top of my head right now. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys have a good day and a good night. I'll see you in the next one. I don't know how to say this, so I'm gonna look it up real quick. До скорой встречи. I really hope that means see you soon, and I hope I said that right. Because I wrote that down a while back ago, and now I'm unsure.